After I got food poisoning from hamburger paste and McFrugals, Attorney Crab Newberg was able to recover $6,900 for me. Thanks, Mr. Newberg.
You're welcome, Cinnamon. I was honored to recover $6,900 for Cinnamon after her severe food poisoning, and I'd be willing to help you too. I've graduated from an accredited law school and passed an intensive examination in the state of Florida. If you've been given a raw deal from food paste, simply go to askthecrab.com. With Crab Newberg, you've got a case.
Hey, I'm world-famous radio personality, Pinkman. You may remember me from your radio. I'm here to tell you about the newest app craze. It's called Pinky Man Go. Using the power of augmented reality, Pinky Man Go allows you to find real-life objects in the real world. Wow.
I got loose changes. It was under the couch.
Nice. You can trade that in for Pinky points, and then I can buy chips.
Phone chargeroo. Oh my god. It was just there.
You just unlocked a side quest. Now go find my phone.
Okay.
Guys, I just found Car Keezy.
Perfect. I'm late for work anyway. Everyone get out of my apartment. Douchebags.
Pinky Man Go!
I love Pinky Man.
Now, from Future Entertech comes the latest killer app, Sicker, taking care of your tomorrow, today. Call in sick while avoiding accountability.
I couldn't believe it. I had this super hot guy stay over, and I just couldn't even. All I had to do was answer a few simple prompts.
Dear boss, with my deepest regrets, I,
Angela,
am unable to perform my duties today due to...
Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Owen and Dirt's Pop Culture Radio. Woo! Owen is out again this week. Well, last week he was out because he let Brittany do the show, so he could stay home with the kids. This week he's just a little bit under the weather. And
sound like he was a lot of it under the weather.
Yeah. Seeing as we have the live broadcast next weekend, he decided it was best for him to just stay home and nurse this whatever cold or bug or whatever that is, so that we will all four be there for next week's live broadcast at Austin Coffee and Film. So
I'm excited.
I am too. I'm looking forward to it a lot, man. That's like my old stomping grounds, and all in general, like that place has. I've done a lot of really crazy shit there over the years. Like that used to be a venue where I would come up with something. Like they have a night during the week where there was nothing going on, and I'm like, I'm going to host the dating show. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out then. And I put the movie projector screen up on the stage and separated one chair from three chairs. And I would just get random people who wanted to come up on stage and vie for the approval of this person on the other side who couldn't see them. And it was fun, man. It was just little like certain events like that were just fucking fun for me to do. You know,
it was like the only thing you could do at a bar to make it easier to get laid.
Yeah.
We're gonna actually have a contest to see who bangs who.
Yeah. Our success rate was 0 though.
Oh damn!
Because one time we had Rocco up on stage, and then the other two chairs. And we had two girls who obviously weren't all that interested in being in the competition in the first place. But then because he couldn't see, I brought Joe Cucci up there, and then Joe Cucci talked like a girl the whole time.
Nice.
And then Rocco could tell it was him. So then Rocco picked him. And then when we moved the curtain, Joe just jumps on him and like starts trying to make out with him.
I mean, you're just assuming nobody scored that night.
That's very true. I don't know that 100%.
What's the origin of stomping ground? Like, where's that
I don't know.
Because it's that, to me, I always go very literal. So I'm like, you're like curb stomping. Every time I go there, I curb stomp somebody, shit faced, and break a tooth.
I'm not aware that ever happened, but I will say there was there's so many fucking stories about shit that happened at that place. And here's what's funny about it. We kind of, as the whole idea behind that place is an artist co-op. So it's one of those places where, like, you know, they have like poetry on Wednesdays, stand-up comedy on Sundays, open mic hip hop with, you know, Matt Ills on Mondays. And then, well, not anymore, but I mean, that's the way the night started. They still have an open mic. And I think it's RC Sniper that hosts it on Mondays now. But it's a cypher with an actual fucking DJ spinning fucking vinyl on stage. And then guys are just signing up on the list like an open mic. Nice. And they jump up there and they get 5 minutes or whatever, you know. And then open mic music on Tuesdays. And then they have jazz on Thursdays where it's just a pickup band. Literally, guys will just show up. We got a saxophone player, we got a drummer, we got a bass player, whoever just shows up, and then they just jam. That's so it's like cool. Improv jazz stuff. So it's always been a place where you could kind of, if you were an artist, that's your place. And then both walls inside the building are art galleries. So it's like they alternate, they rotate every month. There's a new artist that's hung on the walls. Nice. So it's just like if you're an artist,
do they actually sell the art?
Yeah, yeah,
that's cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's one of those places where they've kind of just let you be an artist, and it's not a whole lot of judgment or questioning about it. It's like, if that's your art and that's what you do, all right, hey, have at it. It's not for us to say whether it's good or not. It's for the audience to say.
Then I'm doing fart painting on Saturday. see how everybody respects that.
Fart painting.
I'm too hairy to do fart painting. It just,
I mean,
or just hairy enough. Maybe that's a boon. Maybe that's a boon. It creates more texture.
What is fart painting?
It's where you boof paint and then fart it on a piece of paper or something. Or maybe I'll get people white T-shirts and I'll fart paint onto the T-shirts.
Oh man,
I'm an artist. I mean, what do you want you can't stifle my creative spirit.
Where do you go to boof the paint? You can't do that in front of people, can you?
Why? That's part of the art. Giant syringe. Or maybe I'll do a participation. I'll just fill a bunch of turkey basters
and let people.
Yeah, and let people fill me with paint, and then I'll fart it on their shirt. What the fuck am I talking about? Cut this out.
We're just not cutting this out.
Okay.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh man, we had I don't want to just blow out all the fucking stories, but you know who Ken Miller is?
Yeah,
the comedian.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So Ken was hosting the comedy night one night. It was on a Sunday. It was always Sundays, and the normal host is Craig Norberg. He was out for some reason, and so Ken was hosting it. Well, there was these two brothers that used to go on stage and like they sort of a comedy act as a duo, you know, and they were always just like, they were those ones that like to stir shit up. And like, it's almost like they weren't pranking people, but they were like, they would go up there in character and get everybody all riled up or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so for whatever reason, Ken just didn't want to deal with them that night. And so he kept putting them off. So they start getting pissed off and they start talking all kinds of shit and everything. And then something happened where Ken had just had enough.
Curb stomped him?
No, he grabbed a hold of him and he was about to choke the shit out of him. And so they're like tussling in the parking lot. And then Carmen Valone came up, another comedian, and he like got Ken off. He's like, Ken, chill out, man. Hey, I get it, man. This is a tough job. And so Ken just got in his car and left. And then he just comes back and I'm like, where'd you go? And he's like, man, I went to Walgreens. I go, what you want go to Walgreens for? He goes, I was trying to see if they had a baseball bat, so I come out and beat these motherfuckers' asses. He was telling me the story, and he's like, I don't know why I was driving to Walgreens, but for some reason I thought Walgreens would have baseball bats.
I was about to say, least likely store to sell baseball bats.
Yeah.
I mean, at least if you go to like 7-Eleven, you might be able to get one of the little ones, like, you know, like a foot long for the keychain or something. But,
a keychain bat and come back and whoop somebody's ass with it.
I've never seen I mean, maybe you could get like a Nerf bat at Walgreens in like the toys section.
Yeah, that would probably work.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could, if you're serious enough, whoop somebody's ass with a Nerf bat.
Well, the secret is you beat them with the foam part until it breaks off, and then you stab them with the plastic handle. Not that I know.
That's not a bad idea either.
Yeah. I am a problem solver.
Oh, man. So we talked to Jackie last week. Hopefully, I'm waiting for confirmation on the timing, but I think second segment, we're going to try to have Steve Moore on the air. Steve Moore is Jackie's former brother-in-law. He's the one who sort of initiated the whole purchase of Austin.
Okay.
Because the original owner, the reason it's called Austin Coffee and Film, he went to business school in Austin, Texas, and had come back to Orlando. He owned a bunch of real estate downtown. I mean, very well-off guy. And he bought Austin as sort of to mimic or just sort of replicate the cafes and coffee shops where he would hang out in college. Okay. And he's like, Orlando doesn't have one of these. They need one. So he opened it. And then after a couple of years, it's just, I think, just shy of 2 years, he had just decided he was going to close it down. And that's when the Moore family stepped in and bought it to keep it going. Okay. So in all honesty, like the original owner, he owned it for less than 2 years. And the Moore family has kept it going for 20. So it's really their business, their baby. They're the ones who have, brought it to where it's at right now. Okay. But a pretty cool story of how all that went down, and hopefully we'll get him on the air later. He says he's got some family obligations, but if I text him ahead of time, then he'll step out and jump on the phone with us. So that'll be fun.
Cool.
And he goes back to, he was a regular hanging out with all of us before they ever purchased it. So he kind of saw what was going on there, and it's like, we can't let this close,
right.
So it's, it's a great story, and it's all family owned. And Jackie's daughter, Morgan, is the GM now. So she's the one that's like running day-to-day operations. So It stayed a family thing for all this time.
I will say I'm very sad.
What's that?
Because Jackie was supposed to read the girlfriend side of Bushy's AI girlfriend next week.
Okay, so I saw the text. So Bushy's AI girlfriend, new segment, was great. We were loving it, and apparently now it's dead, huh?
And like I said, I started with what I felt was like the least creepy, and then I was going to work my way. But each week I was just going to log into the game, go to one of the conversations, take pictures of it, and then read it. That's all I was doing. I never in a million years thought that I would log into my game and it would be like, hey, Survivor. That's what they call you, Survivors, or because it's a zombie war game. And we just wanted to let you know that we're reworking the love texts in the villa, and they're going to be so much better and all this and that. And I think what probably happened, because of course they're never going to come out and be like, our shit was too perverted and people were complaining, so we're changing it. But I'm assuming it's going to be way more, mild, if it's even the same thing. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to get, completely revamped to be something totally different.
Man.
But I'm like heartbroken. I had so many good, dude, there was ones that are talking about, the creepiest part was how excited the women were about the dude being super creepy. One of them talked about how he put cameras in the shower, in the showers, and what a naughty boy he was, and she couldn't wait to watch the movies with him and all this. And I'm like, that's fucking creepy. That's like stalker. Like there were some bad ones in there.
That's fucking awesome.
And now we'll never get to hear them.
Oh,
gone forever.
Man. Well, hopefully, let's hope that maybe when they bring him back, then your library's still there.
I doubt it. I mean, because as soon as I seen the message, I immediately went over to it because I was like, "Oh my god, I need to get." And they had already taken it out. Like there wasn't even a warning, time in between or nothing.
We're gonna have to start getting you some chat bots.
Well, what's funny is I was like, maybe I can write one of these.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm just not creepy enough.
Yeah.
I'm not creepy enough, and I don't have the bad translation of like Korean to English, where words are in the wrong places and things that I just wouldn't think of. A cat who whistles,
Right.
I would never write a cat who whistles, even trying to think of weird shit. It just things that made no sense together is why it was funny.
Oh, man. Yeah, and I remember the ones you read, the one thing I did pick up on was that it sounds like another language translated to English.
It is, yeah, it's Korean.
It's
because
there's some parts of it where it's like no matter how like creepy and creative I tried to get, I would never write that. You know what I mean? It's on a whole different level of like lost in translation, if you want to say.
Well, because it's already actually creepy, and then it gets lost in translation, as you just said, again, on top of already being it was probably AI written. You know what I mean? At this point, there's no Korean man sitting there. Well, maybe there is. I wouldn't assume at this point. Everything's AI. You know what I mean? You just type in there, this girl has a flamethrower, so make her talk sexy about hot things. It's like that simple. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to look. See, I'm like, maybe I'll look up after I tried to write one. I was like, maybe I'll look up an AI girlfriend app.
Yeah.
But then again, it's probably, I would have to probably look for like a foreign one specifically to get the bad translation. So I don't know.
And then at that point, it's not organic anymore. You're trying to
I'm trying to
recreate something,
and it's not going to be as good. So I never in a million years thought that would have just disappeared like that. I was and the funniest thing was I hated it so much. I hated it. It was like annoying to have to do it, every day.
Oh, you had to do it as part of the game?
No, if you wanted gems, if you want like real money currency, you go through like a whole conversation. They give you like $1 or something.
Okay.
But I hated it until I turned it into the segment. And then it became like, oh, I can't, you know what I mean? I can't wait to share these.
Yeah.
And then now it's gone.
Oh, man. That's fucking nuts. And that what's funny is that now you said that, I'm like, okay, so they made it part of the game where it's like you're collecting coins or gems, or like you said, to use in the game in order, like, as a reward for participating in this bullshit, which is funny. But like you said, once it gets to a point where you're like, oh, man, I can't wait for somebody to read this shit, then it gets interesting.
Yeah.
No, man.
Once I decided to share it became fun.
It's like when you get a call from a telemarketer or some shit, and then it's like when you get one when you're sitting at your house by yourself and your phone rings and you're like, ah, damn this shit again. But if you get one when you're in a group of people, you're like, oh, okay,
right?
Speakerphone. This guy. I remember one year, I was on tour with Crack Rock Opera, and we're sitting at a service station in Georgia. An alternator went out on the van on the way up, up the coast on tour. And we're sitting there at this service center waiting for them to replace my alternator. And Evan's phone is ringing with telemarketers. So Evan's just like, fuck it. We're sitting there with nothing to do. So he answers the phone. And this guy was like, a really heavy accent. He's like, hello, sir. Are you a homeowner? And he goes, no, dude, who the fuck told you that? I love pussy. And then we got to the point where every time he would say it, I'm like, dude, you fucking say that shit again. I'm fucking telling you, I'm not a homeowner. I fucking love pussy, dude. And the guy started getting pissed off at us. And finally, the guy's like, you the motherfucker, I'd fuck your mother, I'd fuck your mouth. And like, he's like yelling back at us, like all pissed off.
Well, now I'm interested.
Yeah. But that shit was just funny to me because we're sitting outside of the service station. Me and Danny are just dying laughing and watching Evan talk to this guy.
That's great. Oh, I never told you the story about the fucking telemarketer from hell back when I had my tile business, did I?
No.
Yo, so because I actually had a licensed business and everything with a an address, I would get advertising from Granger and all these actual construction supply houses. Well, one guy hit me up from Texas, and it was like a telemarketer, but I'll give it to him. The dude was amazing and sold me on he'd make the fucking the gloves that are like just a knitted glove with the rubber kind of coating.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about like a no big deal,
right?
And he'd sell me, you know, a 5-pack that you could probably get at Home Depot for $2 for like $25.
Yeah.
But at the time I was making good money. Some of this, I will give, like some of the stuff was new. It was maybe when that was like just coming out, you know, I hadn't seen like that particular exact thing yet. I think I bought like ratchet straps and they had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to catch on to the fact that I was like, I actually just liked the dude and we would shoot the shit. Like he was very good. Best telemarketer I've ever, you know, had. I've never bought, he's the only telemarketer I've ever bought anything from. And I probably bought stuff for him for like 6 months. This was not like a short thing. I probably ordered stuff from him like 10 different times.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, until I found out I could just go to a store pretty much and get it for a cheaper price, you know? So then finally at some point I literally had a nice conversation with him. I was like, hey man, look, you know, I bought a bunch of stuff from you, but I'm going to go ahead and purchasing anything anymore. That motherfucker, I forget how it got, but he ended up like selling me or sending me stuff that I didn't order and, you know, charging my card and everything because I had it. So then after that happened like 2 times, I had, you know, like a cuss out conversation with him because as I told you before, at some point me and this dude were talking like friendly. You know? I'd be like having my lunch just shooting the shit with him. Got to the point where I cussed him out and he proceeded to apparently give my phone number to every telemarketer in the United States.
Oh, dude.
My phone would go off like 40 times a day.
That's fucking
from
crazy.
Random numbers. And they'd call just to cuss me out. It was a fucking nightmare.
That's fucking nuts.
I had to change my phone number and my, you know, my card number because he was charging stuff.
Sucks,
it
man.
was horrible.
Dude, so the thing that, as far as telemarketers go, there's this guy on YouTube called Pierogi. I don't know if you've ever seen him before, but this guy used to work like in Central Intelligence and the government. So he used to do like programming for like networks and things like that. And now what he does basically is he runs a YouTube channel where he just scams telemarketers. Like, where he scams them back.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
He like hacks into their computers and like starts manipulating their computer, or like he can turn the lights on shit off in their fucking building. Like when they give him I
think it was Heather actually that told me about that originally, and I probably watched his videos for 2-3 days straight.
Yeah. She's the one who found him originally and was showing it to me. But what's funny is like what he figured out was like when they give you that address to try to take over your computer, he figured out how to reverse that so that when he types it in, he just takes over their system. And then he'll get these people who they'll break and they'll like, listen, I'm only doing this because there's no other jobs and I can't make any money.
Yeah.
And here's how our business works. And then they'll start giving him like all the information from their business. And here's the doc. And he's like, open up on your computer and show me this script that they'll open it up and they'll show him. And like, it's funny as shit because there's a couple of them where he's actually taken over like the cameras in their call center, and then he'll pop it up and you could see all these people in the room, and he starts talking to the guy and he's like, which guy are you? You like wearing the red shirt? And then he's like, no, red shirt, no. And then he'll start talking. He's like, oh, you're this guy, because he can see how he reacts. And then you'll see the guy turning around and looking at the cameras and shit. It's fucking awesome.
I wish I would have been a hacker. That would have been cool.
Oh man, there's so many people that are making a ton of fucking money legally now because they got in on the ground floor as hackers, and now they're being hired by these big companies to make sure that shit never happens. Man, I've been a part of a company that had a phishing scenario go down,
right?
Where the owner of our company was West African, and these guys took over our whole fucking network for ransom. And he literally had to pay ransom to get our fucking network back and everything. And you talk about a motherfucker, man. I mean, and his whole thing was, he's like, the way they were talking, he knew they were like saying racist shit to him and all kinds of shit. And they're like, you know, pay us or else we're going to destroy your whole fucking database.
And there's no guarantee, even if you pay them, that you're getting your shit back.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I mean, he got his attorneys involved and like his business partners, and they were all like, I don't think we have a choice. Like, they negotiated down to a number and then paid him, and we got our shit back. And then he hired a company to come in and just make sure that never happens again. But the guys that he hired to make sure that never happens again were hackers at one point, and that's how they're making their money now, is by showing you how not to get caught. You know?
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy how much access someone that's intelligent with computers
Oh,
has
yeah.
to your world.
Oh man, I can't remember his fucking name. Man, Heather's gonna be pissed. I can't remember. There's another dude that Heather follows on YouTube. And there was just a video not too long ago where he had gotten caught up in some sort of either email phishing or a phone scam, and he got taken for like $48,000 from his business account. So after it was like 3 or 6 months it took him to get his money back. He finally got his money back and got past that. He hired a team of guys to purposely
hunt down
to steal his identity, because he wanted to show like what happens and what these guys are capable of. And basically, over the course of this shit happening, like he goes to what he thinks is a business conference for other influencers and stuff. He's sitting there, and then it pops up on the screen video of guys in his fucking office at night after he's gone, going through his fucking mail, and they're showing how many pieces of mail they got out of his trash can, and they're pulling account numbers off it, they're pulling address, and they're showing. It took them 6 days to completely replicate his identity to 100%. So they had all of the information they needed on him in 6 days.
And you're
And
supposed to shred all that shit. Anyway.
yeah, I know.
Why-
Yeah. And that's what he said. He's like, well, I'm learning right now how careful I'm not.
Yeah.
And then it ended with him being sent a plane ticket, meet me here. And I can't remember what country it was in. Anyway, he flies out and he shows up at this address, and they go and they hand him the fucking deed, and they go, you own this building now. They bought the fucking building in his name.
Jesus.
Yeah. And like that's how fucking far that shit can go. It's crazy. Man. But speaking of other countries, this is a good segue here. I showed you something before the
That's
show.
so funny because
tonight.
I didn't know if you wanted to go there yet. I almost said as crazy as Ugandan wrestling.
Yeah. So I was made privy to the information today that there is a professional wrestling organization in Uganda called SGW. They're on YouTube. It stands for Soft Ground Wrestling. And basically what they consider soft ground is like bamboo poles and rope set up in a square like a wrestling ring would be, but instead of a wrestling mat or a ring, it's just, I guess you'd say, tilled up mud. But
it's not even that muddy though. It's tilled up dirt. Like there was a couple matches where it seemed like it was a little damp.
Yeah.
But I think that was from rain or something, because we watched 4 or 5 different matches.
Yeah.
And most of them, it was pretty much dried out. And there was even like large chunks, of dirt left. Who knows if there's a rock in there? I mean, as I've mentioned before, wrestling, it's whatever to me. Sometimes I enjoy matches. Most of the time I'm like, it's fake. It's all pre-scripted.
Right.
Even if this shit is all pre-scripted, which it seems to be, it's fucking real.
Yeah.
These dudes are, like I said, you can't like fake a smack sound like a belly flop on hard ground.
Right.
Like you hit that ground fucking hard, and some of the way they were landed on like their tailbones and the back of their necks and everything, the speed at which they're executing the moves, it's just, like I said, it's so beyond wrestling in my opinion. I could have sat there watching it the rest of the night. You know what I mean? I would have had no problem just sitting there and watching hours of that.
And the thing, so when I looked, so somebody showed me a highlight clip, which was just a bunch of clips of them wrestling today. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to YouTube. I got to find this company, right? So their first video was posted on May 1st of 2023. So not quite 2 years. The channel has 136,000 subscribers. Good number. Still not crazy when it comes to YouTube standards, I mean, there's probably 100,000 channels who have 100,000 subscribers.
I don't know, because I think the whole thing is there's only like, well, I'm thinking percent. It's only like what 1 or 2% of YouTubers get over 100,000. It's like a really low number.
Okay, so I mean, considering the millions of subscribers some people have, but some of these videos have like as many as 36,000 views. Some of them have 7,800 views. Some of the matches I was showing you happened as recently as 2 to 3 days ago and have like less than 10,000 views on them. So it's still a very new upstart is what it seems to me. 2 years time, it seems, what's that?
Less than 0.5% of all YouTube channels have 100,000 subscribers.
Okay. All right.
So
yeah,
that's up there.
Right.
I mean, now because there's millions and millions of YouTube, that 0.5% might be 5 million people, who know, but still 0.5% if you're over 100K.
Yeah, it's good. And the thing is, from watching the videos, you can see that wherever Uganda's a country, so who knows what city, but it's very obvious from looking at the video that all of these matches are all taking place in the same spot.
Yep.
There are some videos.
Well, it looked like there's a resort behind them.
Right. There's some sort of building with like that Spanish, like orange tile, clay tile roof. So it's like you said, either a resort or a hotel or something of that nature.
Well, and then they got like 12 of those awnings that are probably
big awnings, and it says SGW on them.
Yeah,
so it's
and
branded.
I'm sure those things are like $1,500, $2,000 a pop.
Sure. Yeah. And it's very obvious that this is the show in town.
Yeah.
Because every match, it's just thousands of people surrounding the ring. Behind they have like their guardrails are obvious. It was a tree yesterday. They just like shave a trunk of a tree and they make these wooden bound barriers and stuff. But there's a lot of people at these matches, and it's like men, women, children. Everyone's out there watching these guys, and they put on a fucking show, man. It is when it comes to like the storytelling, obviously. Like you hear the ring announcers, they're trying to speak English, and they're doing a pretty decent job, but because of the accent, it's hard to catch what the fuck they're talking about. But they're coming out with microphones. They're doing match promos. They have storylines. Like there was that one we watched where the guy comes out of the ring and he proposes to his girlfriend in the ring, and then another couple comes out to shit on their parade, and then another couple comes out, and then it turns into a 3-on-3 triple threat match between the dudes, and then they ban the women from the ringside.
And then one of them just said no.
Yeah.
and that was it.
Yeah.
He's like,
you're banned from ringside. She goes, no. And the next thing the match is happening, she's still there.
Yeah,
I wonder if the other two women knew they could just say no.
It didn't seem like it. It seemed like she was the only one that thought of it. And even the announcer was like, well, I guess she said no. That's it. I guess she can stay.
But some of the athleticism is insane. There are some matches on there where they're wrestling in an actual ring, but that and don't get me wrong, seeing them work a real ring was cool because I wanted to see if it would change their style, which it does not. They're still pulling all the same shit.
It didn't, but it definitely still is more vicious when they're either in the mud or outside the ring. Because even when they had the ring, the second one we watched that had the ring, 90% of the match was outside of the ring.
Yeah. It was a false count anywhere match. So they were all over the place.
You know what it reminded me of? This is going to sound really weird. Have you ever been to an outdoor shooting range?
Yeah.
It's like people just started wrestling at an outdoor shooting range. It's all clay, and there's like where you pull up the park is all the just trees. You know, like you said, they were just skinned the day before. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I was looking. There was like sharp knots still sticking out on the limbs that they were like slamming each over,
and they're throwing each other down on them.
And then the table, the dude picks the other guy up and he goes to slam him, and you go, oh, he's going to go through the table. And I was looking at him like, I'm pretty sure it's like 3/4 inch plywood, and then there's like cross beams and the
braces
table
underneath it.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to break. And sure enough, he hits it like a ton of bricks and the table doesn't flex at all or nothing.
And then he puts another table next to it and he's slamming it on 2 tables.
And he does it like 4 times in a row. Selling it only goes so far when you're being slammed on something with zero give.
Yeah.
I was incredibly impressed. Every single match was just really entertaining.
Yeah. And the skill as wrestling performers is there. Like they're pulling off moves that like that reverse neck breaker and shit. Like they're pulling off great moves. They're putting on a great show. And not only that, but when it comes to selling, there was one part where some guy jumps in the ring and he drop kicks this guy, and the guy doesn't budge. His feet just hit him, and he's just standing there. And I'm like, that's a great sell. Like in any wrestling, if a guy comes running across the ring and drop kicks you, and you don't move an inch, and he just falls down in front of you, like those are great sells. And also like the way that the arc of the storytelling within the match. Like that one where the guy he hits something, and I don't think it was intentional. I think he
was split wide open.
He was split wide open across his forehead, and he worked the entire fucking match being dragged through the mud, thrown into the dirt, beat all over the fucking place.
At some point, he pretty much stopped bleeding because so much mud had gotten smashed into the wound.
Just mushed into the wound and shit. And you know, they put on a great fucking show. I mean, I'm gonna stay up on it. I'm going to see if maybe, and of course, if they have 130,000 subscribers, I'm not the only fucking white guy in America who's wanting to talk to these people.
Right.
But I'd love to get a hold of one of them and talk to him about how this all happened.
That'd be awesome.
Because it seems like a pretty small upstart, but at the same time, the way I kind of look at it, and maybe this is like me being ignorant of that area, but it seems like they're the show in town.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of people watching it, and maybe this is something that's been going on for years over there. You know,
you said at least 2 years that they've been posting it. It probably started even before that. And even in the 4 or 5 videos we watched, there was 16, 18 wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about, they got a pretty deep roster.
Yeah.
You know? So
and everyone comes out in, for the most part, regular clothes, with maybe some knee pads, or a couple of guys had knee pads, but they're wearing like basketball shorts and like and sweatpants and just regular clothes, but they're working matches. Like some of the moves they're pulling, like when he picked the guy up in the vertical suplex, and then he walked around the ring with him completely upright before he throws him over top of one of those tree trunk barriers that we talked about. I mean, they pick each other up and toss each other around. And you could see when they're wrestling in a real ring, you could see how they're just average sized guys. They're probably 5'8".
Well, the one match, I think when she announced the guy, she said he was like 125 pounds.
Yeah.
and then the girl was like 185.
Yeah. Oh, that was the intergender match or whatever.
Yeah.
Where the woman wins, beats the guy, and then some guy in a ski mask jumps in the ring and just whoops the guy's ass for no reason. And you're like, man, this guy can't win. He got beat by the girl. Now he's getting whooped by the guy in the ski mask.
And there was a third guy that came in and started beating on him.
Yeah, and then he started beating. Yeah, this guy's just getting his ass beat all over the place. And that was the guy they called Eddie Munster.
Yeah.
It's fun, man. I had a blast with it, and I'm hoping that over time, you know, it picks up a bit more, because I'd love to see some like interpromotional shit. Like, so one of the organizations in this country maybe get some of these guys to come over here and do that here.
I was about to say, it could go from their side to our side.
Yeah,
there's no way American wrestlers are going over there and getting dropped on that hard ground.
They're guys over here.
Enough.
They're not putting their career on the line to go wrestle in them up pit.
Well, you also have to realize too how many of those people that we've seen were like under 30. Almost every single one of those wrestlers was young, and I guarantee you most of them don't do that for more than a couple of years.
Right? Yeah, you're not going to see guys like the Undertaker or a guy in his 50s go over there and work a match or something like that.
And this maybe even be more of a compliment to how well they were selling it. That very last slam we seen, I'm telling you, that guy really got hurt and landed on his fucking tailbone. Like you can land softly on your shoulders, on the back of your neck if you roll just right. He went straight down, like in a seated position, right into the ground. Like bounced off a solid ground on his tailbone.
Oh yeah. And also like some of those moves that they pulled where it looked devastating, and then these guys are popping right back up and going right back at it. So I think that it's a combination of them selling well and also them being super, super athletic.
Tough.
Tough and athletic. I mean, like you said, like, was the joke you made? You said, it's like, oh, and also fun fact, this is also the easiest job in Uganda.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine that there's anybody over there who's not working, manual labor the day of the event and then coming out and wrestling.
I mean, proportionately, I don't know what, that pays or whatever, but I mean, it was a joke, but it's probably somewhat true.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also like, one thing I'll say, that I like better about their wrestling than I do about American wrestling is that aside from like a handful, when I say handful, meaning like, I can count maybe 5 in the last 20 years of female wrestlers in the United States in American wrestling that I look at and go, they're good. Like she makes me feel like she could whoop my ass. Most of the girls in American wrestling are former bikini models who are doing this as a side job.
Back to the original point of the jobs over there are harder, you know, and they're so yes, I mean they probably could whoop your ass.
But those girls in the Ugandan wrestling you're watching, those women, they look like they're about to come out and fuck somebody up. Like it looks like you know, they're ready to get in the ring and fucking put on a show.
Well, look at their men. You know how tough you got to be to slap a boyfriend around? Is that tough?
Yeah. Oh, there's that one where they were in the ring arguing and the woman just slaps the shit out of that guy. Yeah. And you could tell by when she slapped him, like, because he played the part, but you could tell by his face, like, that hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it was a real slap.
Yeah. Fucking nuts, man.
Yeah, it wasn't like some backhanded stuff. Not like it was full open hand slap. Like I'm tough enough to take it. Slap the shit out of me.
Oh man,
you don't have to sell it if it's real.
yeah. There's no selling if it's real. Oh man, there's a lot of stories through history of wrestling about guys who worked really stiff, meaning that like they were actually hurting the guys, and a lot of times like retribution comes swift and not fucking merciful when it comes to that shit. Whereas guys who just work so stiff that they're hurting other people, and eventually that guy gets his shit fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm
still waiting for somebody to fuck up Steven Seagal.
Oh, dude. But the thing about it is like when you do that sort of shit, like you don't do it for very long before you figure out like, Stone Cold Steve Austin has a great story about the Big Boss Man, Ray Traylor. He was wrestling him in a match, and he was basically full on like full forearms to the back of the neck, just fucking him up. And Austin he said he took a handful of them, and he's like, "All right, man, or big guy." He kept going, "All right, big guy. All right, big guy." And he just kept going with it. So finally, Austin said he spins him around into the corner, and he comes across the ring, and where he's supposed to clothesline him, instead of clotheslining him, he lands his forearm straight to his fucking forehead and just knocks the shit out of him. And he said he went down and he's sitting in the corner, and he looked up at him, and he said this look on his face where he's like, "I guess I was being a little stiff." He's like, that's what happens though. You know, you kind of, ring generalship. You get put in your place and you go, okay, I was a little too amped up. I was reading the crowd too much. I was trying to,
probably makes for a better match though. If there's some realness to
yeah, there was one, I'd say a few years ago, probably more like 10 plus years ago. When Brock Lesnar came back from UFC to WWE, he had a match with John Cena where he was landing straight fucking elbows to him on a ground and pound in the match and split Cena wide the fuck open. And you could tell that like he was fresh back from UFC. And I think it was one of those things where it's like, I'm a real fighter. I'm a UFC fighter, And so he was playing to his crowd. And you could see Cena was trying to fucking work the match, but he's really getting fucked up. So at some point, Cena wrapped a fucking chain around his hand, and I guess it was supposed to be the finish of the match. He was supposed to hit him with the chain and pin him. Cena fucking clocked him right in the mouth with the fucking chain wrapped around his hand, and you could see Lesnar's face, like his eyes go wide open, and he took the fucking fall and takes the pin, but you could see that look on his face where he was like, "Oh shit,
I just got knocked the fuck out.
I really fucked this one up." But all right, so listen, let's take a break. We're gonna talk to. I just got the text back. We're gonna talk to Steve Moore next segment here. I got a really cool musical feature this week because this guy. So any of you who've known him for long enough, my first band, Omnibus, that was the band with me and Fritz and our brother Ryan. Our logo, which I am now using for my guitar company, it's this really cool like Egyptian dial with a scarab in the center. It was drawn by a guy named Scott White. Scott White runs Rise Above Tattoo Company here in Orlando, which Rise Above, they're a big, tattoo studio. He's a guy who's been around in this town that was 1997 when he drew that for me.
Okay.
So we're talking about, 28 years
couple
ago.
years.
28 years ago. So just recently, he was on a podcast about his history in music. Now, Scott White is he's an artist now. He does aside from tattoos, he actually does artwork. The last Moon Men from Mars album, Reanimator, the cover art is by Scott White. His history in music, though, is as a death metal singer.
Okay.
And he had a band called Drag Body, which was one of the I'm not going to say like they're not godfathers of the metal scene in Orlando by that standpoint, or death metal, I would say, but they're close to it. There was a band called Death that's probably the biggest Orlando death metal band ever, and they're like at a level of like they stand like shoulder to shoulder with like Cannibal Corpse and Obituary and bands like that.
Oh,
like
I love Obituary.
they are like originators of it. Chuck Schuldiner was the lead singer and guitar player. He passed away in the early 2000s of cancer. But Scott's band Drag Body was the band that I was first introduced to with Orlando death metal. And he did this interview and talked about his history in music, and mentioned that those early albums have just recently been redistributed by another record label. So I pulled up. This is the album that I remember. I remember buying this album. I remember listening to this album. It's called "Flip the Kill Switch" by Drag Body, and I have not heard this record in 25 years, easily 25 years. But now it's on Spotify.
Sweet.
They had two albums. They're both on Spotify. It's the first one was called "An Inheritance of Detriment," and then this album is called "Flip the Kill Switch." So this record, I'm gonna play the first song that I remember hearing from them, and it's called "Swallowing Razors."
It's so funny because I love death metal. Just as much as I love rap. I go usually in kind of like waves, like a year or two I'll listen to this, and then next year or two I'll go back to death metal for a while. But at the age I'm at now, the names just crack me up. You know what I mean? It's teenage angst in word form.
Oh yeah.
Swallowing razors
Yeah.
while I kill babies.
Well,
Like,
that's
what?
the one thing I'll give them is that their song titles are way more like it could go so many different ways. Whereas some of the bands like where it's like Butchered at Birth, Cannibal Corpse, like their song titles are ridiculous. Just like 1,000 abortions. Like, you know what I mean? Like their song titles are way more over the top than Scott's are. But anyway,
I'm gonna change my rap name to 1,000 abortions.
Oh, man. Well, and what's also funny to me is like Scott White is like one of the most like soft-spoken, like just nice, polite dudes you'll ever meet in your life. And then you see him on stage with this band and you're like, that guy is a fucking monster.
It always used to make me laugh. Exactly what you said. A lot of times I go to these smaller death metal concerts or emo metal or something. And you see this little dude kind of sitting in the corner, not really talking to anybody. And then next thing you know, he's the one that, the band comes up and he walks over and he's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? You look 12.
Oh, man.
Why do you sound like Satan?
Yeah. All right. So this song is called Swallowing Razors. This is Drag Body.
It does not sound remastered.
No, not at all. All right, you're listening to Pop Culture Radio. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm world famous radio personality Pinkman. You may remember me from your radio. I'm here to tell you about the newest app craze. It's called Pinky Man Go. Using the power of augmented reality, Pinky Man Go allows you to find real-life objects in the real world. Wow.
I got loose changies. It was under the couch.
Nice. You can trade that in for Pinky points, and then I can buy chips.
Phone chargeroo. Oh my god. It was just there.
You just unlocked a side quest. Now go find my phone.
Okay.
Guys, I just found Car Keezy.
Perfect. I'm late for work anyway. Everyone get out of my apartment. Douchebags.
Pinky Man Go!
I love Pinky Man Go.
From the makers of Sicker. Hi.
You fellow wenches, are you looking for a buccaneer to bed? Or a first mate to swab your poop deck? Well, no one should have to face scurvy alone. Visit piratesonly.com. Think of the pirate possibilities, such as Clamdigger69.
I'm Clamdigger69. I have plenty of toys and eccentric things in Davy Jones's locker, if you know what I mean. Again, that's Clamdigger69.
But let's not forget about Make My Roger Jolly.
I'm Make My Roger Jolly. Allow me to be the first one to truly discover your booty. I'm Make My Roger Jolly.
Pirate 542.
Arr, arr, arr.
And Cabin Swain too.
Hey, don't forget about me. I'm Cabin Swain too. You can come and frolic around my mizzenmast. I'm Cabin Swain too.
Find your buried treasure at piratesonly.com, where X marks the spot. Yesterday's realities are today's fantasies. Hey, I'm Hetty Violet, caretaker of Astor Farms, Florida's newest and oldest rentable bed and breakfast. Astor Farms hasn't been updated nor upgraded since its construction in 1845. With no running water or power, you'll be able to live like your ancestors did, but on today's dime. If these testimonials don't sway you, nothing will.
June 12th, 2014. My wits are failing me. I feel a constant hunger for the unattainable and a thirst that cannot be quenched. I feel a presence watching me in the darkness. A creature, a trapped soul, somehow dodging the light of this flickering candle. By sunrise, I fear my life. Maybe an extreme danger.
How about this fine how do you do?
April 4th, 2016. The rations of hardtack are too damn stale. Cracked my front teeth. In great pain. Salt pork for lunch tasted rotten. Too much salt. I told that woman not to heavy-hand the salt, but she did just to spite me. Oh God, is she trying to kill me?
Live yesterday's life today at Astor Farms. We'll get the bedroll ready for you.
After I got food poisoning from hamburger paste at McFrugal's, attorney Crab Newberg was able to recover $6,900 for me. Thanks, Mr. Newberg.
You're welcome, Cinnamon. I was honored to recover $6,900 for Cinnamon after her severe food poisoning, and I'd be willing to help you too. I've graduated from an accredited law school and passed an intensive examination in the state of Florida. If you've been given a raw deal from Food Paste, simply go to askthecrab.com. With Crab Newberg, you've got a case.
Tonight on Orlando's Super TV3, from the producers of Naked and Enlightened, we bring you the social experiment of the century, Pop Swap.
Who's got the TV? Who's got the batteries for the remote?
That is the remote for the Himalayan salt rock lamp.
Salt rock? What the hell is
We don't have a TV in
No
here.
TV. Yes, we have a TV. I worked 30 years for. We have a
Get
TV.
in tune with, the root chakra.
I got my chakras. My doctor prescribes them. Rhonda, you're talking nonsense.
Actually, I have an Earth name, and
Your
that
what
is
name?
Rabbit Fox.
The what?
Watch what happens when millennials meet their new grandpas.
I'm so hungry. This sandwich bread tastes like pride bread.
Grandpa, what are you doing? Put it down. That's not your food. That's my food. It's gluten-free.
Yeah?
Do you know what a gluten is?
I know what gluten's are.
I'm gluten-free.
You damn right you're gluten-free, because me and all of my friends, we stopped the gluten.
No, you didn't.
Sure I did.
No, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't.
Yeah?
You did not.
The glutens, they were coming out of the woodworks. They were Tommy, and Tommy was from Kansas City. So we called him KC. Right behind me was Tex. He was from Baltimore. So there we were.
When Generation Y mingles with Generation what?
All right, see you in a week, Pops.
Huh?
No, not you.
Hey, you dollface.
Hey, you get your mangy
Boys.
mitts off of my granddaughter.
You're not my granddaughter.
Don't you tell me what to do.
This is damaging me emotionally.
Who?
The greatest generation in human history faces their greatest challenge. Pop Swap, only on Orlando's Super TV 3.
Ready?
Nope, one for.
Nope. Too late. Ready?
Want to open up a drive-through liquor store that doubles as a notary public and dry cleaner? That's all you, my sons and daughters of liberty. Here at Badass Hangry Eagle Brewery, we've been bottling up freedom for over 6 years, and we encourage every American to embrace their God-given freedom with their lips. And just in time for this crucial election year, be sure to look out for our Devil's Advocate series of handcrafted beauties. We'll have you playing both sides of the fence in no time with our party-specific fun facts of corruption printed on every bottle. Our Build-A-Wall VIP beer will infuriate your liberal friends, and our cover-up coffee porter will alienate your conservative ones. Because what's more American than becoming a multimillionaire off a drunken idea for an app that tells you what kind of pizza matches your suit? Drinking a Badass Hangry Eagle? That's what. America. Badass Hangry Eagle Brewery. America AF.
Badass Angry Eagle Brewery!
This is not a political ad. If it were a political ad, you would know, because it would begin with dark and somber music as I talk about the person I don't want you to vote for, like this. Also,
With grace and elegance, your spirit undying.
Welcome back, Pop Culture Radio. Go figure. I picked the one song that has a long drawn out.
Right. It'll ramp up 5 minutes from now.
This is Baton Rouge from Drag Body, from the album Flip the Kill Switch.
Instead of celebrating
This is
of your soul,
this has that like
to a
very like
jackal
Henry
whose
Rollins
intent
like
is to
spoken,
a deity whose
I'm
vanity
dark and deep.
overshadows your honesty. A lifetime of joy.
I look at everything from
overlooked
1,000
in
viewpoints.
order to appease
Some people have a
that
third eye. I
time
have a fifth
for our
eye.
last goodbyes.
It's just funny to me. It's like this is like
Groveling to
I think
his
this album
Lord,
came out in '97. I want to say,
mercy and
but
compassion.
it's just funny to me.
Same
Like
God
I remember
that
meeting
watched you
Scott
agonize
way back then and being like,
to
"Man, this guy's so
short
fucking
life
heavy."
away.
Right.
And then now he's just like a dad that owns a tattoo shop,
He's
and he's
so
just like
dark.
He's the nicest dude in the world. I love it.
There is a fallacy in this testimony.
This fucking great.
There is.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fucking
talking
awesome.
shit, but I
Yeah.
mean, we're trying to make jokes here.
Jokey dance monkey. That's what we do.
Yeah. No, but I like it. I dig it.
So we teased it before the break, but as everybody knows who is listening right now and who's been listening in the recent weeks here, next weekend we are going to be doing our show live at Austin Coffee and Film in Winter Park, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
You guys can all come out, hang out with us, meet all of our old friends, make some new friends, and like I said, I'm going back to my stomping grounds. Like, and with all the stuff that's going on with the city right now, and them trying to keep the shop alive, I thought it was important. It felt important to me to I want to fucking do shit here at this place while it's still here, because I mean, it's given me, to give me a whole second act of my career that I never saw coming. So, on the line right now, I have Steve Moore. Steve, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Fuck yeah, man. This dude is. I know I've on many a drunken night I've told you how much you mean to me and how much you've done for me, and but I want to tell you halfway sober now. So you know, but it's just a crazy story, man. So 2004, 5, I think.
Yeah, 2005.
Okay. I start hanging out at this little coffee shop in Winter Park because my brother's working there. Fritz worked there at Austin behind the counter, and start playing open mics there. Eventually end up hosting the open mics, and we just had this like ragtag group of dudes that were like, we're all musicians. We're all doing something entertainment wise, and it just became this like sort of a co-op like clubhouse. All of us hanging out there and just having a great time. And Steve was one of those people, right? So eventually the original owner decides he wants to close the joint, and Steve was stepped up and he's like, this can't go away.
Right.
And so Steve stepped up and got the family involved, and they bought it and kept it open. So going on 20 years now since that happened. So I just told that side of the story. Steve, do you want to tell like your side of the story, like how all this kind of went down?
Yeah, it was basically, you know, it was a place where I hung out, and it was a place where I felt a connection to the misfits of the area. And when I, you know, the thought of it going away just it broke my heart. And I mean, when the employees were told, I was there actually when the meeting happened out on the patio, and Joe, the former owner, and he had a meeting with the staff, and they all come in. They're looking pretty sad, and some of them are crying, and they're like, "Oh, Joe's closing the place." And I was like, I went up to him immediately, and I said, "What's it going to take to keep this place open?" And he said, "Buy it from me." So that's basically in a nutshell how it happened. But the fact is that, you know, the relationships that were forged there, the community that was forged there, long before I even owned it. It was a place for all of us to get together. There's countless numbers of, you know, like you said, your brother was there. Well, right. I went into business with my brother there. There were, you know, a lot of siblings that came through there. There were a lot of families that, there were families that we were born with that hung out there. There were families we chose to hang out with, and the families we created, because I met my spouse there, and I know a lot of other people have met their spouses there and went on to have children themselves. And it's been an important part of the community on so many levels. And your level with you know, Dirk McCoy and the Trailer Park Refugees, and you migrating into doing the open mic night. It just really, it was amazing. It was so special. It was hard to believe. You know, it almost seems like a dream, because it was so unreal.
Yeah, I mean, and all the people who've come through there. I mean, Preacher Lawson, he was living in his car when he started doing comedy at Austin Coffee, and then he's runner-up on America's Got Talent, and then runner-up on America's Got Talent Champions, then competes in UK's Got Talent, and now he's touring all over the country as a stand-up comedian. He's been on a network television show.
He's been on Tonight Show.
He's been on the Tonight Show 4 times.
Jeez.
And that was a guy who was sleeping in his car before he got on stage at Austin Coffee.
Well, I hope I meet my spouse Saturday. I'm still waiting.
But by the way, Steve, this is so we only have, there's 2 of us on the show tonight. There's 4 of us in the cast total. All 4 of us will be there next Saturday. But this is Bushy. Bushy is born and raised in Apopka here, so he's been in the area his whole life too. But have you been to Austin before?
No, every time you're telling your life stories, I'm like, oh, his life was so much cooler than mine. I was remodeling people's bathrooms at like 18, 19 years old.
Man, so Steve, that whole man,
instead of building a lifelong friendship community based on music and comedy.
Yeah. Well, it's never too late for you. So Bushy has been part of this program with us for almost 3 years now. And wow. And so, like in the time that we've actually recorded and published a rap song with him, we're working on more music now. And one of the funny things is, every so often I'll bring an old Real Radio person on the show, and Bushy geeks out, and he's like, "I'm getting to meet all of my heroes from when I was doing tile."
Not only meet them, do a show with them.
Yeah, yeah. Like Soul Brother Kevin, he was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he kept us on the phone for 2.5 hours. He lives in Tampa now. And he's forged a sort of kinship with Bushy. We had Tuttle on the air with us. Of course, Bubba Whoop-Ass Wilson was on the show twice before he passed away. But the whole studio that we're sitting in right now, we're surrounded by artwork by Morgan Steele.
Oh, it's amazing.
Morgan Steele, I met at Austin Coffee. Morgan painted the building, the bathroom in the men's bathroom in there. He painted a lot of the bricks around the outside. He was one of the original guys that sort of made me want. I would go up to Austin every day, almost every day, because I knew all I had to do was walk onto the patio, and there's going to be somebody there that I know or somebody that I want to know.
Very cool.
And that was the cool part about it, is that you'd look around the room and most people would walk in and say, oh, it's, there's a bunch of artsy types here, and they'd go get their coffee. But what they don't know is like, that guy writes for the Orlando Weekly. That guy's an artist. That guy has painted shit you've seen around town. That guy is a musician, a singer, a songwriter, and that guy's a poet. And this guy has published a book that's a textbook that's being used at Rollins College. Like, that's the group of people that we had hanging out there on a daily basis. Like, it was a think tank,
It's always the people that are your polar opposite that spawn the most conversation or creativeness. Usually, if you hang out with everybody that's the same, there's no new ideas entering the arena.
Yeah. So Steve, your profession in the stagecraft industry, do you think that had any sort of part in the fact that you felt so comfortable at a place like Austin?
I was on the road for 280 days a year, and I was always looking for a place like Austin's with every city I went to. I was looking for a place to call home, a place where I felt immediate acceptance in the community. And that is something that was at Austin's, and I found it in various places around the country. Being a professional live event person, I don't think had anything to do with being in Austin's, but the travel component to it, and basically being the lone gun out on the road, looking for places that you could go to that didn't have any pretension, and there was creatives around, and you were immediately accepted. And that was the magic of Austin's when. Was that it was a place when, if you were a Winter Park attorney, you'd go in there and you'd hang out with a student that took the bus down from Sanford to sit there, and they would talk politics, and they would, and again, no fighting and no aggression towards each other. Everybody was just like, warm and open, right? And accepted each other's conversation and their opinions and their ideas, and it was just like you said, it was a think tank. It was a place where people could completely bounce ideas off of each other, and just a think tank, and forge friendships that have now lasted a lifetime.
Yeah, you're talking about 20 years. So I mentioned this I had Jackie on the I called Jackie last week on the show, and we were just talking about the history that we all have with the place. And I told her when Jeff and I found Austin, or Jeff found Austin, brought me down. You got to come see this. You got to come hang out here. When we found Austin, we had already had almost what could be considered a whole career. We'd opened for national touring bands. We played House of Blues and Hard Rock. We've done the whole Real Radio thing. We played these big beach festivals. We've done a lot of stuff. Austin became like our second act, because at that point we were like, okay, so this is how things work. Then we meet these guys at Austin and all these other musicians, and that's what put us on our first tour. Was the guys we met there. And then meeting Chris Cucci and Post Records and all of that stuff blowing up. And that is why I sit here today. It's not what happened before that. Austin pretty much gave me the ability to go, oh shit, I can do this. I can do it my way. The music that came out of that place in the early 2000s, changed Orlando music indefinitely. Okay. Because we were doing shows where it was like the Heathens and Soliloquist of Sound, which is, the Soliloquist of Sound, the hip hop group in town. We were co-headlining shows together. A grassroots country music alternative band with a hip hop group, socially conscious hip hop group, headlining shows together at the Social.
Nice.
Genres that did not match could play together, and it was all the same because the music taste in town had changed to a point where it doesn't have to be radio, it doesn't have to be metal, it doesn't have to be rock, it doesn't have to be rap. It can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. Yeah. And Austin was such an open venue that they didn't care if you wanted to come in there. And we had these noise rock groups that Steve will remember that would come in, set up their instruments like a band, then not play their instruments. They would just beat the fuck out of them. And that was their act. But
Steve,
Austin would book you.
Have you had fart painting there yet?
No, have not had fart painting.
Do I need a permit?
No.
Okay, we're good. I just got to get the turkey basters and some Krylon and
Krylon. You can spray paint.
We might have to put up a modesty panel. We can see the top part, the middle part, maybe not so much, but the finished product, what comes out the other end, I think.
Don't worry, it'll be a real small modesty thing. It's fine.
So the mug that I'm drinking out of right now was sent to me by the mother of Bobby Clock. Bobby Clock, way back history with Austin Coffee. Bobby passed away in 2019, but Steve will remember this story. Steve, do you remember Bobby's band Detective Sandy Vagina? What Bobby did at Austin Coffee one night. The paint.
Remind me.
Okay, so
there's so many stories.
He had a show there that night, and he decided to do an art exhibit while he played his music, and so he was putting paint all over himself and then rolling over a canvas. Right?
Okay.
He kicked the bucket over, and the paint went all over the stage, all over the ground, all over the couch. And I remember Rocco calling me and go, "Guess what I've been doing all fucking morning?" Jackie called him, and Rocco had to go down there with acetone and clean paint off of the stage and off of the floor. That was Bobby's idea of a he was trying to be like the Velvet Underground, man. He was trying to put on a fucking experience.
Right.
And well, when you kick the bucket over, it kind of fucks up everything. Steve, do you have any stories from Austin that stick out in your mind? Like, either moments where you're just like, it's just a really cool moment or a funny story or anything that just pops out in your head?
There's a couple. I mean, one in particular is when your band was playing and somebody pulled Derek's pants down.
Oh yeah,
and that was Derek was your bass player at the time. And,
yeah.
It was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. We're in the middle of a set and somebody just like just reached up on stage and just yanked his pants down.
Hell no.
Yeah, that was fun time. Yeah.
And Morgan Steele breaking up with his girlfriend by taking a portrait of her that was like a masterwork, which was like 4 foot by 5 foot, and he put it over her head.
Yeah.
Damn. That's cold.
just completely right over her head. It's split in two, and she ends up trying to walk out the door with it around her waist.
That wasn't like planned. Like that was something that somebody actually.
No. He was mad. She didn't like the portrait. It was an art exhibit. He could be a little emotional, and he just took. He's like, "The hell with you." And he took the portrait off the wall and walked up to her and just right over her head.
That's some straight up cartoon shit.
That
is great.
Morgan was a straight up cartoon person.
That's wild.
Yeah, well, I had friends in town from Atlanta, and I always love to show off Austin to anybody who came in from out of town, and I ended up taking the guys back to their hotel over in Wally World, and they were like, that's like the weirdest coffee shop I've ever been to.
Because they're expecting like Starbucks, and then you bring them in, you're like,
well, if you think about it, we had to hire a police detail for Monday nights.
Yeah.
who the hell has to? And it wasn't because anything bad was going on. It was just to just manage the flow of traffic in and out of off of Fairbanks because it was crazy, and sometimes the road would just somebody could potentially fall out and get. And it was a ploy. My brother Sean was smart. My brother Sean, he kind of did it to make nice with the city of Winter Park. If we hired them, they would come. They would see that we're just a bunch of goofy kids just doing stupid shit. We're not, there's nothing nefarious going on.
Right.
And then the relationship grew stronger with the Winter Park Police Department and the city itself.
Yeah, very cool. we had cops that would come in and hang out off duty.
Oh, yeah.
And so the night he's talking about is, so we've had Matt Ills on the show multiple times. Matt Ills Monday Night Raw at Austin is the open mic hip hop thing we're talking about. So at the time when Grind Time Now was at its peak, which was his group, his battle rap organization, Steve's not bullshitting. They had to hire people to direct traffic in and out of that building because it would get that busy.
That's awesome. And that brings in more people when there's like, what is going on over there? There's so much traffic.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
not bad for a 996 square foot building.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's not big, man. And I just remember
bathrooms that large.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember comedy nights on Sundays being like open mic comedy venues or an open mic night at any comedy place is hit or miss. Most of the time, you're up on stage telling jokes to other comedians. That's what was different about Austin, is that place would pack with people who were just coming to see a free comedy show because everyone's up just workshopping our stuff. And you'd have an actual audience that was engaged and ready to go. And that's not a commonality at a comedy club.
Right.
Open mic nights aren't attended by people who are just out to go see a comedy show. They're going to see a headliner somewhere. So when you would come to Austin, it would be a full coffee shop full of people waiting to see stand up. That was beyond what anybody's expectations were as an open mic comedian.
Oh yeah.
And that's, Steve can remember some of those nights. It's like the shop would like what it would be posted like midnight. That is when the shop closes, right? We'd be there till 1-2 o'clock in the morning because if the barista is making money, and there's people still there that still want to see a show, and there's people still paying. As long as we were within the city's regulations and we were allowed to be open, we'd stay open later sometimes because people just wanted more,
Man, that's got to be a great job where you're like, yeah, I want to stay longer.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, the people that worked at Austin, for the most part, they didn't work there because, they had to. They worked there because they liked working there,
They were an integral part of the community as well, and a lot of them were creators themselves and creative and involved with many of the acts. Like, I don't know. It's just somebody was always doing something and felt connected there, and and again, it was a labor of love for everybody, including myself.
Yeah, and even after you bought the place, still, so Steve bought it. He put his brother and Jackie in charge. And you would come in and you would do stuff, you would help out, you would work, but for the most part, you still got to come in and hang out at your favorite coffee shop.
Yeah, I was fortunate. Fortunately, I had people who had my back and had the back of the shop. So
Joe Cucci, I spoke to him just recently. In fact, I had a water main break to my house, and Mr. Bushy over here and Joe Cucci came out and helped me. Well, didn't help me. They did it because I was sick at the time. They dug up the whole front yard and replaced the line. And Joe was telling me that you're starting to hang out there more often now again.
Yeah, I'm working on Wednesdays, every Wednesday night with my niece, Morgan.
Oh, wow.
Wednesday night's poetry night, which, is it's been fun. I didn't realize how after listening to a lot of these poems, how bad the patriarchy has screwed a lot of these poets.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're very vocal about it in their poems. So I'm wondering if sometimes when I'm leaving there at night, whether or not I need a police detail.
Oh, damn.
Back in the day we had
so wait a minute, so Austin's is not a no politics place like this show?
No. On poetry night, you're talking about people who are writing it can go all over the place, but there are opposing views. But for the most part, people just get along. It's weird, man. It's like you walk into a Twilight Zone and all of a sudden it's like everybody actually hears each other. It's weird.
Yeah,
I know you don't know. Once you go, you'll get it.
I get it.
I get it. I know. I hear you're saying, but this is just one of those places, man, where you just walk in. It's like Cheers, but with less beer. Well, there's plenty of beer, but I'm just saying it's not a bar. It's like it's a coffee joint that happens to serve beer and wine. So it's a weird like dichotomy of people that you get through there. You get people who are sober. You get people who come in and want to have a couple beers, and for the most part, people just tend to hear each other and have conversations, and it's not screaming matches and fuck you and fuck this and fuck that. You know.
I'll wait till I do my poem.
I really enjoy Wednesday night. The reason I said it the way I said it was that, you know, there are a lot of people who come and use poetry as a form of therapy. Instead of hiring a therapist, they do it in prose, and you know, when people are working through issues, it's not always pretty.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, that's what Bushy heard. Not when you can't afford a therapist, and Bushy's thinking, "Oh shit, I got a lot of stuff to get off my chest."
I'm a little bit of an Eeyore, so it sounds like home to me. I love the idea of everybody bitching.
When you go to poetry night there, what I've always thought was funny is that you get some poets that are like Road. This guy Road. Does Road come around anymore?
Road moved to California. He's living California dreaming now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But Road was the guy who used to come in and do all of his comedy for the most part all of his poetry was for the most part like tongue-in-cheek comedy based. Like he was kind of like the I hate to call him the Hunter S. Thompson because that was definitely Morgan Steele, but he was sort of like the Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac type that was it was supposed to be serious, but it was tongue-in-cheek and there was some comedy to it, and then it was just weird. And then you'd have a guy like Joe Pasquale who was a straight up William S. Burroughs like Naked Lunch type who would do stuff that was what'd you call it, Steve? It was self-deprecating, but it was also like noir. Like there's so many.
Dark. Yeah, it was definitely dark.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many different types of people that you would get coming, and then you got a guy like Curtis Meyer who was just like a straight up point a finger at something that he thought was weird, and then just turn out a whole just fucking just riff on it, you know. So it was different. Going back through and this is definitely not to slight anybody currently, but did you have as I'll tell you mine after you tell me yours.
Whoa.
But was there ever who was your employee if you could pick over time at Austin who you're like, man, that guy's not the best employee in the world, but God, do I love hanging out with that fucking guy.
Doug Woods.
Oh, that's mine too.
So he was like the Chum Lee.
Yeah, he's just a really funny guy that's just fun to be around. But he would just do some shit where you're like, Doug, you know you're at work, right? What the fuck are you doing? You know. My favorite story is I was at the shop one day and Doug was working, and this guy comes up to the counter to order something, and Doug says, give me a minute, I'll be right back, I gotta go in the back and restock some things, and then I'll come take care of you. The guy's like, yeah, no problem, take your time. And then what Doug did was he went out the back door, comes around to the patio to smoke a cigarette. And so I'm sitting there at the table, and I watch the guy at the counter who's just standing there kind of looking at stuff on the counter, and I see him look to his right out the front window and see Doug standing out there with a cigarette. And then at the same time, they both turn their eyes and lock eyes, and Doug just kind of turns his back and just continues smoking his cigarette. And then he comes in the back door again. He's like, all right, what can I do for you? And the guy never brought it up, never mentioned it.
I don't know. Well, I guess because you're talking about funny things employees did or whatever, but that reminded me, when I was working at the Art of Animation, they were building the Art of Animation hotels out at Disney, and I got a couple acquaintances, I would say, hired, And the one guy we were going, and they sent us all the screws to put up the AC vent grates, and they were supposed to be painted. Everything in there's themed. You know, these are mint colored vents, and these are purple vents, and these are orange vents. So you had to have that color screw. Well, they ran out of painted screws, so later on they sent us back with paint, you know, to go and individually paint all these vent screws.
Yeah.
So I'm on like the, I don't know, second or third floor. And, you know, we're taking the building from like opposite ends and working towards the middle. Then we go up.
Yeah.
So it was me and another guy. I meet the other guy, and I've done like, you know, 7/8 of the hallway, and I'm just meeting him. And I come up to him, and he's standing there, and you know the little cone paper water cups?
Yeah.
That you can't stand up or set down or anything?
Yeah.
He was filling that up with paint and carrying that around instead of just bringing the paint bucket with him. And when it would run out, he'd go all the way back down to the truck and fill that little teeny paper cone with paint and then come all the way. No wonder I was like doing so much, because I just had the entire, you know, paint bucket with me, like an you know, smart person would do.
Steve, do you have a Doug Wood story that you want to share?
You know, I have so many with him in particular. I remember the punching contest. I remember moving all the furniture out into the driveway.
Oh, yeah.
So that we could fit more people in there for their show before they went to record with Converge up in Boston.
Yeah, so punching contest was Doug Wood's band with a person you know, Nick Spry.
Okay.
Nick Spry was the singer of Punching Contest. Doug Woods was the bass player. They were a hardcore band, and they actually played at Austin. And the thing that Steve's talking about, which is funny, is that Austin has tables. It's a cafe. Well, they played there. Was that their CD release party?
It was their CD release party.
Yeah. And so we moved all of the furniture onto the patio, and the room was wide open so they could do their show. And it was like there were crowd surfing people in this little tiny building. It was nuts.
Nice.
It was like a little tiny like DIY punk venue that whole night. And then the very next night, tables and poetry. It's like, it's crazy like how the gears shifted in that venue from one night to the next, and you never knew what you're gonna fucking see from one day to the next. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So
it was.
What was
and
that?
Doug also, he went to go record with that album with Punching Contest.
Yeah,
and
Kurt from Converge.
With Converge, yeah, and so he was, he had this beat up old Squier guitar, first generation Squier bass from like 1984, and I was like, oh no, and I lent him my Fender P bass from 1972. I still yet to see it.
Oh, damn.
Never got it back, huh?
Never got it back.
Oh, man. So, Sean, your brother, Sean is also part of the family, one of the owners. Sean has a story that's my favorite story, because there was a hot minute there where Sean was doing stand-up comedy. He was like getting up on Thursday. And actually, I did a showcase one night, and I brought Sean up as my feature, and he did his comedy. But he has a story about you and a Rush 2112 t-shirt. Do you remember that story? Do you remember it?
No, I don't. Remind me.
Okay. So apparently you, as the older brother, but picked on your younger brothers a bit, like we all do. I did with Jeff and everything. And so you had done something to Sean, really pissed him off. And so what he did was he took your Rush 2112 t-shirt and he put it in the litter box.
Ooh.
Do you remember this now?
I do.
Yeah.
How do you forget that?
And then you came in and found your Rush t-shirt in the litter box, and he said he kind of mushed it down in there and made sure like it was all in the litter box, so the cats were using his t-shirt all day. And you came home and found it, and somewhere along the line, Sean had to exit the house out of an upstairs window.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Jump out the window down on and kind of parkour his way down the chimney.
That's fucking great, man. So hey, are you gonna be at the shop next Saturday, or are you gonna be in town?
I'm gonna be in town. I'm gonna check with the little lady, see what's going on with the kiddos. I got a couple of young ones at home, so I've turned into quite the family man over the last few years. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll check with the old lady. If she lets me go, I'll see what I can do.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Owen was saying Owen was trying to call in while I'm talking to you, and then he pops up into the group chat here, or I'm sorry, into the comment section on YouTube, and says espresso martinis. Do they have them? They're all the rage. And we've specifically said multiple times it's beer and wine, so no, they do not have espresso martinis. But what we can do, and I don't know if this sounds like a good idea to you, Steve, or not, but if Owen's willing to drink it, I'm willing to do it. What do you say we throw a couple shots of espresso into a PBR?
I think we can manage it.
Well, I say, I'm sitting here drinking Monster Mean Bean and fucking vodka, and it was a terrible idea. Don't mix those two.
It sounds like he's drinking like an energy drink, White Russian is what he's doing.
It's not even a White Russian. It's literally Monster Mean Bean energy drink, coffee, energy drink, and vodka, and it does not mix well.
Owen just texted back, I'll do it. Okay, so we're going to do that on the air next week. We're going to do a PBR. He said challenge accepted. He's texting right now. The guy's sick at home and can't get away from listening to the show, which I love. But Owen was my first band manager with Omnibus way back in the day, and he and I reconnected over the pandemic, and now we have this show together. But Owen is actually, he's got 3 children at the house, and he's getting married in May. So he's kind of gone the route of what you've done, Steve, is that he's sort of become a family guy now. And so he's at the house, and he's listening to the show, and he's texting in that next week on the show at Austin Coffee, Owen's going to drink a Pabst Blue Ribbon beer with, I'm saying, 2 shots of espresso. What do you think, Bushy?
Well, that sounds terrible.
Steve, what would you say? That sounds fair, right? 12 ounces of beer, 2 shots of espresso, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, he's saying this is going to be his pre-bachelor party. So
we'll just make sure we'll leave the door open and a direct path out the door.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I like the idea that he's been sick for almost a week, and then when he starts feeling better, he's going to drink espresso and PBR. That should.
I'll do one with him. Fuck it, I'll do it. He says this sounds good to me. Okay, all right, so he's in. All right, so that's what we're going to do, Steve. Next week, Owen and I'm going to do one out of solidarity. I will drink a PBR with 2 shots of espresso in it. We'll see what happens.
I will not.
We will not, however, be eating espresso pucks. You remember that one?
Oh, gross. I remember that.
Yeah. Somebody at one of the baristas who was a pretty hot girl that, guys would sort of fawn over. She thought it was funny to grab an espresso puck and go, hey, what do you think of these cookies I made? Hand it to a guy. Ooh. He takes a big bite out of it and realizes he's the fool in this scenario.
Oh, man.
I think it was Karina, right?
It was. I do remember.
Yeah, that was a long, long time ago. I don't know what happened to her. I've not popped up in any of the social media stuff, so I'm not sure. But yeah, that was back in the old days. So
it was.
That's 20 fucking years ago, Steve. We're talking about shit that happened 20 years ago, Steve.
I know. It makes you realize how quick it all goes, and 20 years from now, what are we gonna look like?
I don't know, man. I'm like staring down the barrel of 50 right now, and I remember being that young dude back then and thinking about what it would be like to be 50 and thinking, oh my God, it must be terrible. And I'm like, I'm having the time of my life, man. I'm literally, I feel like my life gets better every fucking year. It's crazy.
I can't wait till it's over. not yours, mine. Yeah. I meant for me. That was so quick. I didn't mean you.
All right, Steve, I appreciate you being on the phone with us here, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, man, it's like a homecoming for me is the way I feel. So,
ditto, my friends. And thank you for everything you've done for us and for the community over the years. It's fantastic.
Dude, I want to say the same stuff to you guys, man. I feel like it's a joint effort. Like none of us have, like, I feel like we've all made each other better. And so I really do appreciate the fact that 20 years ago you decided to keep this place going, man, because it's still something that affects people's lives. So
we grew up together in a weird way.
Yeah, we did. It's funny, man. And it's funny because Owen's wife, or Owen's fiance, we call her Boston Brit. So that'll give you an idea. Owen was born and raised in Ocala, Florida, and now he's engaged to a lady from Boston. And
that's correct.
And this is going to be his third marriage. His first two, you know, he always wanted to be a dad. He lost his father when he was 8 years old. He always wanted to have a family, and for years and years it didn't happen. And October of 23, he welcomed his first daughter, and then he had his son. She brings a child from a previous marriage, so now he's got 3 kids. He never thought this would happen for him, and it was all a girl from Boston that made it happen for him.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
From Ocala to Boston.
Yeah. And I know you being a Boston guy, like, you know what it's like to wrangle in a Boston woman. And I just love watching him try to do it.
I know what it's like to live in the country in Florida. I'm out here in Astatula.
Yeah. If somebody said Astatula to you when you were up in Boston, you would have slapped the shit out of him, right?
I would have, I would have gave him a Boston beatdown.
Yeah.
Don't type Astatula into Pornhub. It autocorrects into something totally different.
Oh, I've tried. I actually like that site. That site was great.
All right, Steve.
I gotta use a VPN now to see it, but
yeah.
No, Xvids works.
Oh, Xvids still works.
You can use Xvids.
Oh yeah. What's funny is the night after, my birthday's January 1st, so New Year's Eve I'm having my big party. We're doing karaoke. Owen, our host, he tells us next week he went home. He's half drunk. He's sitting on the toilet of the house. He pulls up Pornhub, and some lady comes on the page and starts talking to him. He's like, so he was thinking. He watched the whole thing because he thought eventually a plumber was going to come in or some shit was going to happen. Nope, no dice, nothing happened. All she told him was, "No porn for you, sir."
You pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, dude. I will see you on Saturday, hopefully, and we're gonna make this happen.
I look forward to it. I'll make it there.
Awesome, man. All right, dude.
Sweet.
All right, man. You have a good night, and we'll pour one back next week here.
All right, sounds great.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You too. Thanks a lot.
No
Bye-bye.
problem. Bye. Yeah, dude. It's gonna be a fucking blast, man. I'm really looking forward to this.
You should call Owen now, right?
Yeah, hold on. My phone started feed from the beginning. Oh, hold on a second. All right, so Owen's saying his phone started the feed from the beginning. So let's see what's going on with Owen here.
Yeah. He's already asleep.
He's already said fuck those guys. Yeah. He's just bailed off to something else.
What's up?
Hey. we were. Are you still listening to the show?
I get right up until like 5 minutes ago or 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was because it's funny because I saw your message where you said sorry, my feed started from the beginning, and we're like, what the fuck does that mean? Because
that's why I called in. I didn't mean to interrupt the fucking phone call. I know better than that. No. But I pulled up my phone and it's like, yeah, we're starting. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll call them in real quick. And then I'm like, huh, I guess they're busy talking. And then I listened. I didn't realize I wasn't live. It's right in the middle of a fucking phone call. So sorry. But,
no problem. So were you actually commenting about the PBR beer? PBR espresso? Okay.
I like espresso. I like PBR. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Nothing. It's going to be perfect.
See, that's the kind of way I feel about it. Is like I've had cocktails before that have alcohol and espresso in them. I mean, that's what Kahlua is.
Yeah, but
it can't be that bad.
I feel like once you add hops into the scenario, it changes things.
I mean, dude, we've all been sick and had to choke down Robitussin when we were a kid, right? So you think I'm gonna start being a pussy now?
I mean, I used to drink Goldschlager and Code Red Mountain Dew mix, so it couldn't be any worse than that.
Okay, Owen, since you're on the phone now, first segment, you didn't listen to any of the first segment that what me and Bushy were talking about? Okay.
No.
Okay, so
Sorry.
I found something today. I played it for Bushy on the patio. Did you know that Uganda has their own professional wrestling organization?
No.
Yes. It's
That's
called
awesome.
SGW Wrestling or SGW Uganda. You can look it up on YouTube. They have an entire YouTube channel full of videos. And the reason it's called SGW, it's soft ground wrestling. They're not wrestling in a ring. They put bamboo fucking poles in the ground.
I think it's like oak. There's
oak
trees in the corner.
In the corners. They put ropes up and they wrestle in the mud. And it is insane.
what are they doing over there? Those are the same people that pop up on my feed whenever there's a holiday and it says, let us sing to your personal wife or something. And they put a sign up that says, hi, Charlie, or something.
I'll be honest.
They're doing.
After looking at the wrestling talent, I would hire them to do anything. I mean, they are immensely talented. And soft ground wrestling is a lie. That ground ain't soft.
Soft ground. Sounds like they should be naked or something. They're halfway naked.
They're close.
They had a storyline, and they have storylines. They come out with mics. They're trying to speak English and doing a pretty good job out of it. But they had a storyline where this guy comes into the ring in the beginning and he proposes to his girlfriend. And then another couple comes down to the ring to tell him to fuck off. And then another couple comes down, and next thing you know, the referee's going, all the women out, men, triple threat match.
Okay. I mean, right on, man. I mean, is this also scripted, or are they really...
It's definitely scripted wrestling, but but like Bushy said, go ahead and say what you were saying.
Yes, it's scripted, but 100% real. These guys are getting hurt. You know what I mean? Like what they're doing definitely. It's like I told Dirt. It's like professional wrestling in America is like boxing with big, cushy gloves, and the Ugandan wrestling is like bare knuckle, back alley, street fight.
More like gladiators without the swords or something. Actually,
yeah. I mean, I guarantee you, these dudes are not waking up the next morning happy.
Well, it says they're doing the same moves and the same move sets, I think, as American wrestling is, but they're doing it literally in a mud pit. And like he said, a lot of times it's not even that muddy. It's like you can see chunks of like where they try to till up the ground, and there's big chunks and stuff. And they're getting slammed on it.
Even saying pit is like a bit misleading. It's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches deep.
Yeah,
like it's not a pit. It's a thin layer of mud.
Dirt.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't get impressed. I've mentioned many times wrestling. I could take it or leave it. Not really my thing. This shit is real. Like it is impressive what these people are doing. And it also seems like it seems like it's wrestling on 1.5 times speed. Like all these guys are super fast.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole village of people around the ring, like hanging out in resin chairs and shit, just watching them and like cheering it all on. And you can tell that these people have a connection to these characters and these storylines because they get pissed off when the bad guy's winning, and they cheer when somebody says something. Like they've invested in these characters. It's awesome.
One of the guys' names was like Marcus Porno. And so, and like Dirt said, maybe that doesn't even mean the same thing over there, or it's just like a common last name. But the whole crowd chanting porno, porno, porno.
That's awesome. But well, no matter where you're from, I guess the human animal's the same. They want some entertainment and they want some violence. So.
Yeah. Oh, Bushy, tell them about the table when they were slamming the guy through the table.
Well, Dirt said, "Oh, look, he's going to slam him through the table," and I didn't say anything, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, that looks like 3/4 inch plywood and it's reinforced. and right about the time I'm having this thought, they slam him on the table and he just bounces off that motherfucker. Like there's solid tables,
It wasn't cut or anything. Maybe they just don't know how to do it right. They just see it and they have no clue that it's like cut a little bit.
Well, I had kind of said something similar to that. I was like, I wonder if they're mimicking it, but they don't realize the parts that are supposed to be fake and they're doing them for real.
Oh, this is what that same guy, he grabs the those like white resin chairs that you would see like on an outdoor patio. That's what some of the people ringside were sitting in. And this one guy just like ushers these people out of the way, and he picked up that resin chair and starts beating the shit out of the dude with it. And the thing is, like, a folding chair is flat. Those resin chairs, they have all kinds of curves and edges and all this shit. And he's literally just beating the shit out of this guy with a resin chair.
I mean, it looked like he was trying to, bust it. And those things break under weight pretty easily. I know, but to actually just smack something, they're flexible.
Yeah,
it's more like a whip.
Well, apparently, if you're too fat, you can break one of those by turning it the wrong way. But apparently, they hold up when you're hitting them against a small African man.
Yeah.
Well, if they're new, then they're probably new. They have to dry out in the sun a little bit, which over there it probably wouldn't take too long. But anyway, I will do the espresso, Pabst Blue Ribbon, but I am not Ugando wrestling you guys at Austin Coffee. I'm just saying that. That's where I draw the line.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
I'll Ugandan wrestle you any day of the week.
Yeah, you said they don't wake up happy after this fight. I mean, they don't wake up happy anyway. They're over there in Uganda or whatever.
That's what Bushy goes. He goes. Fun fact: this is the easiest job to have in Uganda.
At least they're doing something, man.
No, it's fucking fun, man. I hope it catches on because they have like 136,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel, and their first video is May of 23. So they have 381 videos, and every single one of I've not clicked on one yet that was not incredibly entertaining.
Awesome.
So it's fucking fun.
I'll check it out, or I'll come over there next week and you can show me.
Well, we'll be in Austin next week.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Either way,
I'll still come over and sleep in your bed. I don't know.
We'll bring a projector and a screen, and while we're broadcasting, we'll have Ugandan wrestling playing behind us.
I'll do a TED Talk.
Right.
I'll do a TED Talk about Ugandan wrestling.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Hopefully, I haven't been able to smell for like 3 days. I got a little bit of sense smell back today, but hopefully next week I'll be 100% so I can smell that Pabst Blue Ribbon going down my throat with the espresso and get the full flavor and effect of it.
Start sniffing, huffing farts. That'll get it back.
Dude, like Brittany's on the cleanse, and I made the mistake and walked into the bathroom. She's cleansing until we get married, apparently.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I made the mistake of walking in right after she was there, and I realized I can't fucking smell a thing. This is great. So, it hasn't bothered me for 3 days. So, but on the downside, I was at Walmart today getting a few things, and I noticed some new deodorant. Old Spice has some deodorant, superhero deodorant now. You could either smell like Superman or Batman, and I got really excited and then really upset because I couldn't smell them.
Oh. So yeah, you don't want to buy one of those blindly.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you don't even know which one you want to smell like because you
exactly.
That's rough.
I was just curious what Batman smelled like. Is it before a fight or after a fight? I mean, there's a lot I don't know, and I'll never know.
The dead parents, I think Batman is more up your alley.
I was going to say it smells like black leather and cognac. and Superman.
Hold on.
Superman smells like hair gel and starch.
Yeah, probably. Well, anyway, all right, guys, you guys are having fun, and it sounds great. And I'm sorry I keep getting sick.
Oh, you're good, man.
Yeah, I will be ready to go next week. I did have one question, but I'll bring it up later. It doesn't tie into this stuff. It's kind of crazy. No, it's been a rough month, and I told you like I had some like legal stuff, and that's finally over with. But I'll tell you more about it later. And there's a little situation going on, which is a little maybe devious thing. I don't know. This is called a teaser. I'll bring it up next time.
All
right. It involves. No, never mind. I'll bring it up next time. But,
nice.
All right.
But anyway, I will. I'm going to let you guys go now. I'm out here outside looking at the beautiful full moon. It's supposed to be a pink moon, but that shit looks white as hell.
Oh, how cold is it right now?
I really don't know because I'm like so warm. It feels fucking awesome right now. I'm still a little sweaty or whatever, and I have Vicks Vapor Rub all over my fucking chest. I'm a mess. And the best part about this is I can like kind of check out like at 7:00 and let Brittany take care of the kid. This is awesome. And I learned that from her for being pregnant for 2 fucking years, and I had to do everything. So
what goes around comes around.
Exactly. Oh wait, I see her on her phone. I hope she's not listening.
All right, dude. I'm gonna go take a piss. We're gonna go to break, and we'll talk to you coming up next Saturday at Austin Coffee.
Right on. All right, I'll see you all later.
All right, dude. Later, buddy.
Bye.
All right. Let's hit a break real quick here. This is Most Bitter Gift by Drag Body. You're listening to Pop Culture Radio. We'll be right back. Fuck. What did I just do?
Shit, fuck. Fuck shit.
Hang on.
Wah.
Oh, hold on. Here we go. Start it over. All right. Here we go. Most Bitter Gift by Dragbody. You're listening to Pop Culture Radio.
Orlando's Super TV3 presents a real-world comedy filmed in front of a live studio audience. Locker Room Talk Live. Let's see what the boys get themselves into this week.
Make sure there's plenty of towels in there for when the racquet ball game is over with.
We gotta mop the shower real good this week. I know they go and pee in there.
That's not pee, though.
That not pee, though?
Hey, I just checked my 401k on the way down here. I'm rolling in it, Bobby. I bet you let me grab him by the huh? Yeah. You should be so lucky I get my hands on your mother's you son of a bitch.
Holy moly.
You goddamn you have offended me, sir.
Hey, I'll stuff you back in there like a goddamn bowling ball.
Oh, yeah? Well, your mother has the size of her and if you don't like it, you can take it and shove it way up your. Stop touching him.
I'm the stork. Your mother. I'm the stork.
Oh, they're horsing around for real. Oh.
Tune in at 8 to see what people are willing to accept this week. Locker Room Talk. Tonight at 8, only on Orlando's Super TV3. For centuries, humans have pondered their place in the cosmos, waiting for proof of alien life. Until now.
Wow. Are you watching this?
Hello, testing.
Incredible.
Testing, testing.
We listened. For the first time, they have made contact. We are not alone.
Feels good to get this thing off, this helmet, yeah? I think they just ripening it up. I've been fighting in this thing. Fighting in this thing since Pluto. You know what that smells like? Fighting in this thing, it's just recycling in my helmet here. How you doing?
But were we ready?
And now leaving the European Union, that makes 12. Oh, the humanity.
Hey, come here, pull my finger. Come on, pull my finger. I'm cooking up some hot chili here. Come on, pull my finger. I got a hot one in the tube. Come on, pull it. Hi, Mr. President.
Can humanity survive?
He can't be intelligent life.
Had we built that damned wall.
Tune in to Fartificial Intelligence, only on Orlando's Super TV3.
The war on vending machines is hitting closer to home. It's hitting the workplace. Salutations! My name is Dr. Patience McCracknuts, PhD. Reap the benefits of healthy living with Dr. McCracknuts' line of tasty vending comestibles. And because Dr. McCracknuts knows a thing or two about those mid-afternoon doldrums and lethargy, we have started dispersing vitamin B12 syringes in all of our vending machines. Lift your spirits and carry on, ladies and gents. Your hunger just met its worst nightmare. Dr. McCracknuts.
Coming to a vending machine near you. From PP Boy Records, the 28th installment of the #1 compilation, bringing your favorite songs from the early 21st century. Now that's what I call dubstep. Featuring artists like DJ Schmutz, Duckhead, 28 Punch Monkey, and Andy Templeton. For example, who could forget this ditty? And of course, this heartwarming toe tapper. Do you remember dancing with your best girl to this one? It's a blast from the past, from your bar mitzvah. Nothing says Mazel Tov quite like this. Now that's what I call dubstep. Only on PP Boy Records. Do you like pudding? I mean, really like pudding? Have we got the palace for you? Built on repurposed Native American lands, Pudding Palace boasts the most name brands and well-known traditional gelatins from every country on Earth. Our Yelp reviewers speak for themselves. What about you there in the sweatpants?
My mom drops me off like twice a week. It's awesome. I'm 45.
And what about you, little lady?
I came here looking for love. I found pudding.
Hey, buddy, what's your favorite part of the Pudding Palace?
Sneeze guards. Talk about elegance. I felt like I was in an actual palace.
All right, I see a bit of a line. Good. Okay, getting kind of busy here. Let's just go and see what's going on around the corner over here. And hey, sweetheart, what do you think of Pudding Palace?
I never knew pudding could be so fancy.
Well, there you go. As you can see, we got nothing but satisfied customers here at the Pudding Palace.
And my check was for
Nope,
$65?
nope. Focus on me.
What sort of mother
Brandon.
establishment
Oh,
is this place?
someone doesn't have our rewards card. Come on down to Pudding Palace. Pudding Palace, where pudding kings are born.
Coming soon to the parking lot of a mid-level amphitheater near you, it's the Out of Touch Music Festival. Do you like spending the entire day in the hot sun thinking, oh yeah, I remember them. They toured for over 30 years, and now you'll wait over 30 minutes to hear that one song. They couldn't replicate their initial success, but they didn't break up. Each act guaranteed to have at least one original member. The Out of Touch Music Festival. It's not that new music is bad or you're too old. It's both.
We've all been there. You thought you had a great idea for a dispatch, but it just wasn't good.
This is Cobra Kid. Just checking in.
Sure, it's hard to be original.
What up, C-Lane? Sabrina, I love you, duh. Sean, you're a dick.
You try writing a joke while you're using a weed whacker.
Rector! I damn near killed him! Can I get a back?
Embrace the fellowship of the 95%ers support group.
Wiggle, wiggle. Pop, pop.
Remember, you are the 95%. So maybe they have the problem.
I often wonder what kind of a future we're going to leave behind for the children, you know?
Hey, John.
Howdy, Bill. You all right?
This is John. He's been a Continental truck driver for over 35 years.
They said, basically, you can't have the trees no more. Can't chop them. There ain't none left, which I know is false. I pass them by every day, driving.
Recent congressional hearings have decimated his trucking routes, carrying precious timber from Washington State to Washington, D.C.
They call it damaging the earth. What about me? I need to feed my kids, and that's by driving a truck filled with lumber. The future concerns me right now, if I have enough money to feed my kids, yeah?
Environmental groups are petitioning against American jobs at an alarming rate, citing global climate change on so-called deforestation. Tell your state senator that American jobs are more important than trees. The planet can wait. John can't.
This message paid for by Americans for Work.
Looking for professional installation for that fence? Don't want to do it yourself? Look no further than Fence Crafter, Central Florida's newest and coolest wall building company. If you're like me, you want a yard wall built exactly for your personality, and Fence Crafter will absolutely do it for the least amount of money. If it's important to you, we'll do it, guaranteed. Custom painting, 3D print renderings, and free shipping is the Fence Crafter way of business. Call or find us on social media for your free estimate. Fence Crafter.
From Fitcore, the latest development in sports rehydration technology. Boston Sports Chowder. You lead an active lifestyle, and you love a hearty chowder. Fitcore's patented ergonomically designed chowder flagon effectively replenishes vital body chowders lost during a hard workout. Creamy, powerful, piping hot.
Boston Sports Chowder. Get you off an event and back in the game.
You enjoying the game?
It's a nice day. A little hot.
God, Dad, shut up already.
What did he say? I can't make that out. I'm trying to. I mean, we should chant along.
You're
but
gonna embarrass me.
I'm just trying to sing along.
At a soccer match, but feeling a little left out. We've all been there before. If this is your first time watching soccer, we can help with the new app, Soccer Dad. With Soccer Dad, our patented algorithm will scan the crowd to pair it with your local team's custom songs. Turns into
Your sock has a hole.
Wow, that sounds a lot less aggressive than them.
Well, what about this classic?
Your neighbors drive a car.
Hey, our neighbors do drive a car.
You are so stupid, Dad. I hate you.
I'm just trying to be your friend.
Soccer Dad. We can't make your kids like you, but we'll try. From the makers of Sicker.
In a world of journalistic excellence
Can I get your opinion?
comes a man with no formal training.
How do you feel about Kraft Newberg?
This is Fritz on the Street. Tonight on Orlando's Super TV3, from the producers of Naked and Enlightened, we bring you the social experiment of the century, Pop Swap.
Who's got the TV? Who's got the batteries for the remote?
That is the remote for the Himalayan salt rock lamp.
Salt rock? What the hell
we
is
don't
that?
have a TV in
No
here.
TV. Yes, we have a TV. I worked 30 years for. We have a
Get
TV.
in tune with the root chakra.
I've got my chakras. My doctor prescribes them. Rhonda, you're talking nonsense.
Actually, I have an Earth name, and
Your
that
what
is
name?
Rabbit Fox.
The what?
Watch what happens when millennials meet their new grandpas.
I'm so hungry. This sandwich bread tastes like prime rib.
Grandpa, what are you doing? Put it down. That's not your food. That's my food. It's gluten-free.
Yeah?
Do you know what a gluten is?
Yeah, I know what gluten's are.
I'm gluten-free.
You damn right you're gluten-free, because me and all of my friends, we stopped the gluten.
No, you didn't.
Sure I did.
No, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't.
Yeah?
You did not.
The glutens, they were coming out of the woodworks. They were with Tommy, and Tommy was from Kansas City. So we called him KC. Right behind me was Tex. He was from Baltimore. So there we were.
When Generation Y mingles with Generation
What?
All right, see you in a week, Pops.
Huh?
No, not you.
Hey, you dollface.
Hey, you get your mangy
Boys.
mitts off of my granddaughter.
You're not my granddaughter.
Don't you
Your
tell
mitts
me
are
what to do.
No.
This is damaging me emotionally.
Who?
the greatest generation in human history faces their greatest challenge. Pop Swap, only on Orlando's Super TV3.
welcome back to Pop Culture Radio. This is Drag Body with Trading Skin from the album Flip the Kill Switch.
I remember saying to my parents, they're not just yelling, they're saying stuff.
Yeah.
They're speaking to my soul. They're just passionate. You don't know.
Oh, man. I'm eventually going to have to get Scott White to come on the show, even if it's just call in. I know he's not a guy who goes out and hangs out much anymore.
He should do his whole interview just yelling. Like, how you doing, Scott? Fine!
It's funny. So the tattoo on my shoulder, Scott did. We had Jeff's first wedding, his bachelor party. We just all went to Scott White's house and got tattooed. Right. And it's funny because everyone else got this. Jeff got this idea. We're all going to get space shuttle tattoos because it was the same year the space shuttle program ended. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm like the one guy.
I'll get a rocket ship, but it's not going to be on my penis.
Everybody else was like, "Yeah, you sure? Sounds like it." I'm like, "Nah, I'm not doing that."
That way the flames can be on my balls.
So I just picked dirt in old Western. Have you? I don't even think you've seen my tattoo because I barely ever like have a sleeveless shirt on. Yeah, it's like it's dirt in old Western font, but that's my only tattoo. But whatever.
I can't say anything. I got the
the ram over your butt
tramp stamp.
Yeah. The ram tramp stamp.
The dragon above it. You know, like, I mean, either one. You describe either one of our tattoos, and you're like,
yeah. We need to get Johnny Dingleberry to fix our tattoos.
I just need to get a whole bunch more.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel too. Is like, so speaking of that, last week when we were doing the in the front yard, the piping out there, Joe Cucci bought his own tattoo gun, and he's just been doing his own tattoos of just random shit. Where
I mean, my legs were my buddy's first like tattoo on a person kind of thing. You know, like I'm not opposed to have being somewhat of a I don't know. I almost rather like the story instead of like, yes, I went to this high-end studio and paid somebody that I knew it was going to come out perfect and everything.
Right.
I kind of like shitty tattoos a little bit, you know?
No,
like,
I get you.
Like a story about,
I
I was high on ketamine and my friend, so-and-so, we were listening to this high school band and they tattooed me in the bathroom, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you mean.
I love hepatitis.
It's funny because his when you look at his tattoos, like he's got just random stuff tattooed on it, but he bought his own tattoo gun off Amazon and got his own transfer printer and just started doing his own tattoos. And like, he already had plenty of tattoos at that point, so why not? Like, I guess if that's your thing.
I had planned on these big, like, I don't want to say tribal, but like they were kind of like a dragon, say like standing tall, and like the spinal cord almost shaped kind of like a seahorse, but dragon. And then the wings weren't really filled in; they were just kind of like lines. Like I said, that's why it was like kind of like tribal. And my whole plan was I was going to blow them up big enough so the top of the wing came up like onto my shoulders, and then the lower part of the ring was wings were gonna wrap around my ribs. And, like I had planned on being all tatted up, and it's like, oh, this shit's expensive.
Yeah.
I think at the time it was like I don't know 2001, and it would have been like $2,600. I think for what I wanted to do.
That's
like
that's a lot of money. You're like,
and like I think
like that's a used car.
Well, and it was like 6 or 8 hour sessions too.
Yeah,
so like, it wasn't just the money; it was like the time. It was like, well, even if I could pay for this, the time I would literally need to take time off of work.
Yeah. Maybe we could do an episode of the show where we get Joe to come over with his transfer printer, and we each come up with an idea of like relatively a tattoo that we can accomplish over the course of the show, and we have him tattoo us while we do the show.
I'm gonna get the Kodak Black vulture on my forehead.
That would be hilarious. on your forehead.
Oh yeah.
I've always said when somebody goes with a tattoo from the neck up, they're making a choice that day.
Oh,
they're going, okay, here we go.
I mean, I get a skin fade. I could get it like on my head and then just let my hair grow out.
You should tattoo your hairline.
No, I'm not doing any of that.
I should have him tattoo my hairline. I'm like, oh my man, I wouldn't do that, first of all, because I like being bald. But it would be funny if you have like one of those guys that's like going bald and you just tattoo the bald spot.
Right. Yeah. Just
like it
tattoo
matches
hair.
in with the color. Oh, that'd be
I
great.
feel like the texture would leave something to be desired. It's like your hair's really shiny. in that
Yeah,
one
you got
spot.
really shiny hair in the back there, buddy. Oh.
One big follicle. You look like a Sharpie.
It's like, yeah, I'm using a new tattoo. I'm using a new shampoo. It's like conditioning. That's why my hair's so shiny.
It's called
in the back.
tattoo shampoo.
Tattoo shampoo. That sounds like a Samoan wrestler.
Right.
Tattoo shampoo. So last segment here, I was just showing you some stuff on the patio before we start the segment. So next weekend is WrestleMania weekend. I say that because we're doing a live broadcast on Saturday night. WrestleMania is Saturday and Sunday next weekend. I did not know that it was going to be WrestleMania weekend when I booked this live show, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me because all the matches I want to see are Sunday anyway. So Sunday is John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. It is the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship with Dominic Mysterio, and the fatal four-way match with Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship is all on Sunday. Saturday has, I think it's Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. That's going to be a good match. But there's good matches on Saturday night, on Friday night. I'm sorry, Saturday night. But there's nothing that it's like I'm upset to miss. I really want to see Cody Rhodes versus John Cena because with that heel turn and everything that's going on there, I think that that's going to be a big deal. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with that. So if John Cena wins on Sunday and beats Cody Rhodes and becomes a 17-time world champion, he will tie Ric Flair's mark, which is 17 world championships, which is like the benchmark. There's lots of people. Jerry Lawler is like 280-time world champion because he has championships from like Mid-South, NWA South, Memphis Pro Wrestling. Like he has all these championships from all these different organizations, but the recognized
that shouldn't stack, right?
What's
Like
that?
if it's from different organizations, though, it shouldn't really stack.
It's-
That shouldn't count towards your WCW.
Well, that's the thing,
right? That doesn't make sense,
right? But wrestling fans, for the most part, when you look at the business of wrestling, they look at a championship from like the NWA Southern World Heavyweight Championship as no different than the WWE Championship because it's like it's wrestling, and they well, I get it, but the purists of wrestling look at it and going, but that NWA Southern Heavyweight Championship was at one time more prestigious than a WWE title. It was back when it was territorial.
Purist
you know?
wrestling fans can drive their house to the match.
Yeah, I personally like. To me, like, I'm a Ric Flair guy. I've been a Ric Flair guy. That's always been my dude. Like, I think Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler that's ever lived. Jerry Lawler, I have an equal amount of respect for because Jerry Lawler is another guy that's like one of those like, no bullshit, no frills, just a great guy, a great wrestler, a great storyteller, a great heel, a guy who like can push like just the work he did with Andy Kaufman alone.
I mean, he's the voice of wrestling, right?
Of course.
Like,
I mean, in the
when
past 25 years, he's the guy that that's the voice, Jerry Lawler. Yeah. But when you watch Jerry as a wrestler, like Jerry was fucking amazing. He was great. He was one of those guys that could go into a territory, insult your whole fucking town, and have everyone there hate him to the point where he's got to have fucking security detail to get back to his car. That's the guy that Jerry Lawler was. He could sell tickets and fill that whole fucking stadium just on the fact that he's coming into town and disrespecting your whole town and everyone who wrestles here. And he was just one of those guys, and that's what made him and Andy Kaufman work so well together. Andy Kaufman was a Hollywood star that was coming into wrestling and only wrestling women, and calling himself the intergender champion. He made his own belt and all this stuff. And so then that's when Jerry Lawler comes in and says, oh, well, you want to defend that? Defend that against a guy. It's intergender. It's any gender, right? And that turned into him getting the shit slapped out of him by Jerry on David Letterman, and turned that whole feud into a national thing where Memphis wrestling never was more popular in the history of the organization than when Andy Kaufman was feuding with Jerry Lawler. You know, Jerry's just that guy. He's one of those like benchmark guys in wrestling where you could hire him, give him a job, and he would accomplish that job. Whether you said everyone loves Jerry in Memphis, he's a hero. He would walk into Memphis, wrestle a match there, defend his title, and everyone loved him. He would go to Atlanta and go, okay, everyone in Atlanta is fucking stupid. They're all pieces of shit, and fuck them. And then he's the heel. You know what I mean?
I don't feel like that's huge talent. Just to I get everybody to hate it. How do you know? I told them to fuck them.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just he was a good wrestler that had the ability to go into any building, and no matter what you told him that night, they could have hated you last week and said, Jerry, we really need you to get the crowd on your side tonight. And he could do that. He could go out there and he could take a crowd and shift them and pull them like a puppet master and make them do whatever he wanted them to. And that was what was so great about Jerry Lawler. But the reason I bring up WrestleMania is I remember being a kid and then early teen, and being a wrestling fan was looked at like, oh, you're white trash, you're a redneck, you're a nerd, right? And now, of course, nerd is not a bad thing at all. Plenty of people are nerds. I describe people as nerds all the time in positive light. Owen is a comic book nerd. There's nothing wrong with that. And not only is there nothing wrong with that, there's a lot of stuff that's very right with that.
I'm a video game nerd.
Exactly. And that's so this week, just recently, I watched a documentary that's on Amazon Prime and it's on Tubi, and it's called Joyride. The entire premise of this documentary is Bobcat Goldthwait and Dana Gould, two stand-up comedians who, for the majority of their career when they were first coming up, hated each other. Now are best of friends. Okay. And so they came up with the idea right before the pandemic to go on a tour together with a co-headline and film, because, you know, Bobcat Goldthwait has become like a phenomenal filmmaker and director, and he's directed tons of shit. Yeah. And so he came up with the idea, me and you go on tour together, and we just talk in the car rides in between gigs about how I felt about you back then and how you felt about me, and then we sort of like make amends to all that shit while we're doing stand-up shows around the country. Okay. And then in the first week, they get into a massive car accident and they both end up in the hospital.
In real life?
In real life, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. And that's just how it panned out. But
that's commitment.
But over the course of this whole documentary, they're talking about how Bobcat was like, I worked my ass off in these clubs for all these years, and then you're 17 and get your first big hit. Our first big push, and he goes,
so he's a hater.
Yeah, and he's literally said, Bob's like, I was mean to you for no reason at all, and he's like, I apologize for that. He says, but you came off as somebody like you thought you knew, and Dana goes, no, I did. He goes, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought he knew better than all you guys.
I mean, if he was that successful at 17,
he became a writer for The Simpsons. And so he's like, yeah, he's like, no, Dana's like, no, you're right. He's like, I hadn't paid my dues, but I thought I had. He goes, and I thought you guys were all chumps because you'd been doing all this stuff for all these years and you were doing Police Academy. Why are you still playing the why aren't you playing the Coliseum? You know, right. He's like, I didn't get it. And he's like, and Bob's like, yeah, but I was like mean for no reason. Like I was mean I was not mean in a cool way. I was mean in I'm an asshole and I'm a hater way. And Dana's like, but that's what I needed at that time to become who I am now. And he's like, and so looking back, like hindsight, but Bob tells a story because Bob's best friend was Robin Williams, Bobcat. And he tells a story in this, it's on stage in front of an audience when he's telling the story, but he said, Robin Williams was the biggest video game nerd he'd ever known. He's like, I didn't know it was a thing until Robin introduced me to it. He said, And we were the kind of friends where I could go over to Robin's house and we could literally sit in a room and not even speak to each other. I'm reading a magazine, he's playing Call of Duty, but just because we were in a room together, and every now and again we'd say something and we'd crack a joke or whatever, and that's, it just, we were being in the same room. That's all that really mattered. Yeah. But he said, so Robin would be on Call of Duty for 10 hours a day. He would play Call of Duty. He's like, and he would be cursing and all this and cursing at and so Bob was just, he goes flipping through a magazine. He goes, and the way he said, how old are these people that you're playing against right now? And Robin's like, I don't know, maybe 12, 13, 14. And he goes, man, and he goes, and their parents know that you're talking to them like this? He's like, and I just love the fact that every time I tell that story, there's a guy in the audience that's like, see, dude, I told you the genie from Aladdin called me a cocksucker. He's like, and he did too.
Well, what the kids say are way worse. They're the
ones
that get it going.
But that's the thing, is that Robin Williams was a fucking video game nerd. He played video games a lot, like most of the day. That's how he passed his time.
Oh, did you see that?
But that's one of those things where nobody back then would have. Oh yeah, of course, Robin Williams, he plays video games. But no, now people look at it and go, that's a total outlet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What were you gonna say?
I wanted to. I was gonna play that. Crap, where is that? It was like that video game clip where the people were harmonizing. Did you see that?
I don't think so.
Okay, hold up. I found it. Let's see here.
Yo, I can't hear a thing.
Kid's trying to finish a death match. He's the last one left, and his friends just start doing that.
What are you guys doing?
Day and night. What? I toss and turn, I keep stressing my mind. What? I don't insane.
I was like, this shit is so good.
That's fucking great. Oh man,
can you imagine? I mean, you're trying to finish a match, it's intense and shit, your buddies are eliminated and they start doing that shit.
Another story from that doc is just pop. I wasn't even planning on talking about this documentary, but by all means, if you have Prime or Tubi, or Tubi's free, go on. It's Joyride, 2 words. It's a great documentary in general, but Bob is selling Robin stories at one point, and Dana Gould had just gone into this whole thing about Mr. Rogers and Coco the gorilla. Coco the gorilla that could talk sign language and all that.
Yeah.
She was obsessed with Robin Williams and Mr. Rogers. So when Mr. Rogers came to visit Coco, the first thing she did was untie his shoes.
Yeah.
So, Bob's telling the story. And he's like, the funny thing was Coco had videos, like VHS tapes of Robin Williams movies. So when she met him, she was like,
already knew
who he was, and she's like, touching him and hugging him and all this other stuff. And Robin was like, how amazing it was. This fucking 1,000-pound silverback gorilla. It's just like a baby, and
starstruck. Really.
Yeah. And so Bob says what they don't show you when you see the video on YouTube of Robin and Coco, they don't show you the second meeting, because the second meeting didn't go that way.
Oh yeah.
So Robin comes in, sits down, is talking with Coco, and Coco's talking with Robin, and Coco's signing, and then Coco signs something, and the handlers immediately get Robin out of the room, and Robin's like, wait, what just happened? She's like, we were hanging out, we were talking. It's like, Coco just said she was going to drag you back into her pen.
Oh.
And he goes, okay. And then what would happen then? And they said, whatever the fuck Coco wants to happen would happen then.
Oh,
and it's like, apparently Coco had a giant crush on Robin. So Coco wanted to drag Robin back into her pen and fuck him.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? That'd be a bad day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just like, and funny way Bob says it with laughs, like Coco wanted to drag Robin in the back and fuck him.
Well, and can you imagine, as a comedian, if that happened to you, you would have to tell the story, right?
I would absolutely
but you wouldn't want to. Well, no, I don't think you'd want to.
I would tell it,
but you would have to.
I'm the victim here. Right? Let me be the victim. I'll tell that story.
Oh my God. That is
oh man,
unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh man. So last thing I wanted to bring up is something really interesting that's going to happen Friday night. So Friday night, this is all talking about WrestleMania weekend is what's coming up, right? So WrestleMania is Saturday and Sunday, but Friday night is the Hall of Fame induction. So the Hall of Fame induction this year is a little bit different because there's a new category. So this is the first time they're inducting what they call iconic moments. So, and they're inducting matches, scenarios, things that happened that changed the business. And the first match that's being inducted is WrestleMania 13, Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this was 1997, WrestleMania 13. And it's a pretty iconic moment because at that time, Bret Hart is coming out of being WWE champion for quite a stretch. From 94 to 97, Bret Hart had held the title about, I think, 3 times in that span. And over the course of that time, he had won it and lost it from people like Shawn Michaels, Diesel, really high profile contenders that were making up the landscape of the WWE at that time. And Bret Hart was kind of like the guy. He was like the man in the WWF at that time. And the match with Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out of Stone Cold Steve Austin winning the King of the Ring and uttering those words because he beat Jake the Snake Roberts, who was born again Christian. There was all these John 3:16 signs, and he utters the line, John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, I just whooped your ass. And then Austin 3:16 becomes the thing. Right. So Stone Cold's still a heel, still a bad guy, but the crowds are starting to become more partial to the heel than they are the babyface. And so this match pits Bret Hart, who's the known babyface, against Stone Cold, who's the heel, and they kind of work together to put each other over, of Bret Hart becoming a heel and Stone Cold becoming a babyface. And it's also the match where it's on a ton of t-shirts, a ton of promotional videos, a ton of trailers going into Raw, going into WWF events, is that shot of Stone Cold Steve Austin rearing his head up and the blood running down his face. And you could see blood pouring out of his face. That's the match that's being inducted. Now, in the break, we just watched a sort of like commentary where Bret Hart and Stone Cold are watching the match together and they're talking about it. Right. And that's one of the things I love about wrestling, is seeing two guys, because they go into it knowing who's supposed to win, but it's on them to make that match happen. Right. And that's when two guys get together and say, how are we going to tell this story? And so in that thing that we just watched, they talk a lot about the pacing of the match and different ideas and different things they had planned out. But I've seen an interview with Stone Cold before where he talks about how the day of that match, now we're talking about, this is a buildup of like 4 months of storyline going into this match. And a week before that, Stone Cold had come to Bret Hart and said, do you have any ideas for this match? And he said, I'm working on it. So the day of the event, Bret Hart says to Steve Austin, meet me in the rafters. And so he goes, I've got an idea. So, and
I'm
this is
throw you off and you're going to be dead before the match.
Yeah. So Steve Austin was saying,
the rafters. That's creepy for one man to say to another.
Yeah,
right?
I know. But Steve Austin's like, Bret Hart is like he's like the Buddha of this business, you know?
I don't care who.
He's like,
who
I trust him. I'm going to do whatever he wants to do. He's like, so he goes, we're in the stadium. He goes, I'm up in the rafters, and me and Bret are talking. Bret says, all right. He holds his fist out. So I'll do it so you can see on camera. He holds his fist out and he says, okay, each one of these knuckles is a point of change of something that needs to happen in the match, right? He says, in the between parts, we'll figure out. We'll call them on the fly, is what they say. Okay. So he's like, first things first, he's like, as soon as they ring the bell, you need to blindside me. Attack me before I even know the match has started. And he's telling him about the changes that need to happen in the match, right? Okay. And he's like, he goes, you're going to attack me, so you're going heel. He's like, you're the heel already. He's like, but then the part where Bret Hart goes to ringside and he's the one that brings a chair into the ring and then grabs the ring bell and brings that in the ring. It doesn't use it immediately, but he brings it in the ring. So he's showing those shades of that. I can be the bad guy. You know, I'm doing the illegal shit. But he works his way through the match and he tells at the end, the ending of it. And this was my favorite part is that Bret goes, listen, they've got you slated to lose this match, right? And he's like, we all know the direction these things are going. We know Stone Cold is becoming the guy that everything's focused around. He's like, so you're supposed to lose this match. So that doesn't mean you have to lose the crowd. And so then Bret came up with the idea, his finishing move being the sharpshooter, which is a submission hold. He's like, so I'm going to win the match, but he's like, how great would it be if you just didn't give up? You don't tap out. Right. He's like, I'll get the win, but you don't tap out. And that's what puts you over. And that's exactly what they did. He passes out from the pain and from the blood loss, but he never submits. Yep. And that's the part that puts Stone Cold and turns Stone Cold into this like blue collar icon.
Because he won, but Stone Cold didn't technically lose.
Yeah, he didn't tap out.
He just didn't win.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't give him the win. He didn't tap out. He didn't submit. He didn't give up. He just passed out from the pain. And like, that's such a great, like, I never would have thought of that. That's something I never would have thought of, but it makes so much sense that when you're telling a story, you're like, hey, I'm going to win, but this guy is winning in the stands.
I wonder what Shakespeare's take on wrestling would be.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is like theater. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious if Shakespeare would be a wrestling fan.
I mean, I think all the micro storylines that take place over the course of, I mean, so the way that wrestling nowadays, there's a pay-per-view once a month. Back in the day, it used to be like 4 a year. It was WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Those are the only 4. So between each one of those pay-per-views, there was 3 months of storyline buildup.
Right.
And sometimes you didn't get a payoff at that pay-per-view, and that storyline would run the entire year.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, when you look at guys like Bruno Sammartino, which was the first like giant star in WWF, which was, you know, that's what it was called back in the day. He held that championship for 13 years. 13 years, no title changes.
As I've said before, like
nowadays storyline that would never fly.
Right.
You know,
but it's like you also, when you say that stuff to me, you say it like it's not scripted. You know what I mean?
No.
Because like that's why I could never get like,
yeah.
Like I said, I was a casual fan of wrestling, you know, back when I was younger, probably 17 to 19, 21, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And then it just became like, well, and yes, there's athleticism and storylines and all that stuff, but it's like I don't know. It'd be like even I'll compare it to video games. At some point, if you make the same video game 5 times in a row, about 3 you start getting tired of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And things just never changed enough for me. It was this guy beats this guy, and you already know that you don't know who's going to win, but you know they know who's going to win.
Right.
So it was less exciting for me. You know, just I don't know.
I get where you're going with this.
I'm not trying to poo-poo it.
No, you're not. I'm explaining. I want to explain what I mean when I say that. And so here's the thing. Yeah, we all know it's scripted. We all know it's pre-decided. We all know all that stuff. What I'm saying is that back then in the 70s, you could have one. And I'm not saying like he held it like, oh, he was unbeatable. What I'm saying is that a corporate decision was made that he would carry that title for 13 years unbeaten. So at that time, it was totally acceptable to the audience, because if it wasn't working and it wasn't making money, they wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But at that time, it was acceptable to the audience to watch that guy be the champion for 13 years, and everyone was cool with that. Nowadays, that's not at all, that wouldn't work. if you have a guy,
because we're all ADD, it
if
has
you
to
have a
change
guy,
every week.
if you have a guy, I think the longest title reign recently in recent years was probably Roman Reigns, and I think he held it for like 2.5, almost 3 years, and still that was like every week people booing this guy, saying what the fuck. And that turned into a storyline in its own where they just continued to have him win because it pissed people off more. And it was ramping up towards the day when he would finally lose the title, which was to Cody Rhodes, who is the guy now. But back in the day, Hulk Hogan was champion for 4 years. And no one gave a shit because it was Hulkamania back then, and that was the thing. So now, when you look at it, it's like titles change hands almost like 2 to 3 times a year, and they build these storylines to pay off at some point where you get that payoff you're looking for. The thing I love about wrestling is you don't always get what you want, you get what you deserve. And when I say that is that you'll have these guys that will get this push where the crowd's behind him, the crowd wants him to win, the crowd wants to see this happen, but you don't get it. And it pisses you off because as an audience, it's predetermined. It's scripted. You want to see this guy get his due. But then in the main office in wrestling, they're going, just wait. We want to make it to the point where when it does happen, you didn't expect it to happen. We can't have it happen because this is what you want.
But they've done that for so long.
Yeah.
You kind of know when to expect it because it's when you would least expect it.
Yeah. But it's gotten so much.
Probably will be this
it's
time.
gotten so much better now with Triple H at the helm in the last 2 years, because he's a wrestling fan before he was a wrestler, and so now he's starting to give the fans what they want, but he's not giving it to them in the way that he's not letting them see it happen. He's making it happen in a way because they've already been so used to seeing Vince McMahon's style of wrestling and the way that he has things happen. And the best line I think I've heard out of all of this is Kevin Owens, who is a current wrestler. He's the one, the day we were watching Royal Rumble, I think, and we'd come in. Remember that big ladder match where he gets slammed through the ladder and he was just laying there folded up in the ladder, and he just laid there and he sold it the whole fucking time while everyone's cleaning up and all that. We talked about like how he's just laid there with this upside down in the ladder. So Kevin Owens is a guy who started as a young kid, backyard wrestling, created his own backyard wrestling organization. So he's one of those guys who's wanted to be a wrestler his whole life. Well, the thing that I thought was the best, I guess you'd say a kudos to Triple H was he said, Triple H has accepted what previous regimes in WWE would not accept. He's like, they would pitch me a storyline and say, this is what we're going to do. This is what's going to happen. He goes, and I would go, but we did that before. That was done at Survivor Series 91. We did that at Royal Rumble 93. We did that. The fans aren't stupid. They remember this shit. He's like, and then the organization back then would go, they got short memory. They're not going to remember it. And he goes, I know. I'm a wrestling kid. I grew up watching this. He goes, when something would happen, I would go, they did that before. They did that with this guy.
They're still watching them.
Yeah. And he goes, but now, he goes, Triple H agrees with me. And he goes, our fans aren't stupid. Like, they've rode with us for some of these people for 50 plus years. They've been watching our product. He's like, so now he's taking that into account and going, we're not going to give them the same old bullshit. We're going to be creative. We're going to come up with new ideas. We're going to do things different. And we're not going to keep just rehashing the same bullshit over and over and over again on a 20-year arc and just start it over again and come up with new characters to fill new roles, but giving them the same recycled bullshit. And I think that's what's cool about the business as a whole is when you have people who are creative and interested in doing something different, giving them the enough rope to do that. And that's kind of what's happening now. So
true.
I mean, the new character alone, the new character that The Rock is playing in this business alone, to me it's funny because he's so good at being an asshole and being a heel, but also the gimmick he came up with where he's calling himself the final boss. And his entrance when he comes in is the screen going 8-bit, like the whole Jumbotron at the stage going 8-bit, then pixelate it, then cutting off, and then going through like video game points building up, and then ding, 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 final boss level, and then could you spell? And he comes out. And that's his whole character. He's like, I am the final boss in professional wrestling. You do not go anywhere in this business until you've beaten the final boss. And that's the angle he's taking. And it's fucking incredible.
True.
But so WrestleMania weekend coming up. Hall of Fame induction. Lex Luger is being inducted this year. Triple H is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. There's others. I don't remember those off the top of my head, but Lex Luger is going to be a big one. He's a guy that most of us our age grew up watching Lex Luger, and Triple H has become the new like brain of this business, which is fucking awesome. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But all right. So for all of you guys listening, we're going to close the show out. Do you have anything else you wanted to add or no?
No, I almost feel bad when you talk about wrestling because I don't know much about it. I don't mean to yuck on your yum.
No, I get it.
And then I don't know how to make it funny without sounding like a dick.
I get it.
So like
totally
I feel bad. I end up feeling like I'm like sitting here just like not helping you drive the segment, and then
just nothing you can. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I feel weird. Like I feel bad. Like I failed you this segment.
Yeah, you don't have to feel bad about anything. Trust me. Like I said, I've known since a kid, and like I became a wrestling fan because of guys who were friends of my dad who wrestled, like Scott Hall and Mark Marrow and Billy Gunn, and guys I met like as a kid. But I went through that whole phase where it was like, oh, you watch wrestling, you're a redneck. And then The Rock came along, and Stone Cold came along, and John Cena came along and changed it to make it more of it's almost like a fandom now, as comic books are, as video games are. It's like, it's just,
that's another funny thing is you're talking about the wrestling and you're excited about it. Sometimes I sit here and I'm like, oh God, this is how I sound when I talk about video games, isn't it? Son of a bitch.
It is. We're all nerds of a different fandom. That's all it is. But the thing is, to me, wrestling has always been an adult soap opera, and that's kind of what it is. But when you add in with that, it's adult soap opera performed by stuntmen who are like literally injuring themselves to put this story over to you and to make it believable to you, because the older we get, and as generations go along, the more jaded we get, so we don't believe it anymore. So now you have to go above and beyond, and you have to do more extreme shit.
Well, that's why I like
go further and further, and
that's why I like that you've gone to wrestling. I was immediately in because that shit's real.
Yeah.
There's definitely a vertebrae injury during those matches.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, yeah. And those guys, I'd love to see where that progresses, because they're doing the whole storylines and everything. So like they're trying to do it.
You know what they need to do is they need to go over there and pick up like the two most popular and bring them over and create like a team, you know?
Oh yeah. That would be awesome.
The Hardy Boys, but from
that would be
Uganda.
fucking great. I would love to see some SGW guys come into WWE and become like, no, you know what they need to do? Oh, dude, this would be the sickest shit ever. Is they need to come in as a takeover. Just like wrestling's going on one night, it's Monday Night Raw. Everyone's in the ring doing their own thing.
Oh yeah, and they just come in and whoop everybody's
invade.
Ass. Yeah, no, that was my plan. Absolutely.
It's just invade and just beating everybody's ass. Do Captain Phillips style, fucking pull the fucking mat out of the ring and take the mics. We're the captains now. We're taking over the show. We own the and just like hostile takeover. That would be incredible. That would be awesome. Oh man. See, that's the nerd shit that comes out. It's like the storylines. That's the part I love about it. It's like when don't you know he beat that guy's he slapped that guy's wife. That's why they're so pissed off at each other right now.
Right.
There's always some storyline. All right. So next week, Saturday night, 8 o'clock start time. Austin Coffee and Film, 929 West Fairbanks Avenue, Winter Park, Florida, 32789. That's the address. It's on our Facebook right now. There's an invite for it. If go onto the Facebook, click on it, RSVP, not that you're going to be turned away if you don't, but come on out. We're going to do a live broadcast. We're going to have a good time. We're going to try to get as many of you who come out involved as possible. You're going to hear some old stories, a bunch of old fools talking about old shit that happened 20 fucking years ago, reliving their fucking high school days. I'm going to be Al Bundy with my fucking Polk High School jersey on. If I had one,
I'm gonna do fart painting.
Fart painting by Bushy. He will put paint in his butt and fart on you.
Well, no, they can put paint in my butt.
Yeah, you can put paint in Bushy's butt, and then he'll fart on you, and it's artwork. And he'll sign it too.
$7 a squirt.
Yeah, and at some point we'll make lithographs.
Okay.
All right. You've been listening to Pop Culture Radio. We will see you again next week. I'm going to close it out. This is Welcome Cadence by Drag Body. This is so doomed. All right, you're listening to Pop Culture Radio. We'll see you again next week, live at Awesome Coffee and Film.
Pop Culture Radio has been a weird Florida production. Like and subscribe on your favorite platform.